Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking. I lost 70 pounds and my friend lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months.
Wow, what are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed for only $49.99.
What's going on? 10 o'clock. Good morning. Live from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I am Robert Walsh. The second round rookie contract logjam starting to clear up as the Seahawks have given in. They're signing the number 35th overall pick, Nick Emenwari, to a fully guaranteed 4-year, $11.5 million rookie contract. This means that the first 3 picks in the second round have gotten fully guaranteed contracts, which has never happened in NFL history. Titans second round pick, Femi Oladejo, still remains unsigned ahead of next week's training camp. Speaking of guys getting paid, the Steelers star pass rusher TJ Watt signing a historic 3-year, $123 million extension with $108 million fully guaranteed. Watt's $41 per year is now the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. And the Steelers' busy offseason now includes 2 of the biggest contracts in franchise history based on total dollars on both sides of the ball, with DK Metcalf also receiving 4 years, $132 million. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Top of the morning. It's the Buck Rising program on your home for the Titans and the Vols, 104.5 The Zone. I am not Buck Rising. Red Bryan filling in for him as he has jetted off to the West Coast, I do believe. And I am thrilled to be co-hosting with the Miracle Man, Dr. Kevin Dyson, in the house on a Friday. How you doing, Kev?
I'm good, man. I'm doing well. I was excited to be on here today, man. It's been a long time since I've been on radio. This is my warm-up for the football season.
There you go. That's right. Returning to Titans Radio local programming this fall. It is around the corner, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
It is crazy. During today's show, Lucas Panzica out on vacation. Buck is headed off somewhere else. We're going to discuss a lot of things. There's plenty to go over. Second round draft signing tracker, if you will. Guaranteed contracts, Kevin. That is crazy to think of. TJ Watt gets big money. Coach Mac, Dave McGinnis, joins us in the 3 hours of this visit. And NFLPA Executive Director Lloyd Howell resigns, and what that could mean for the NFL going forward. The poll question and Friday Fire. Poll question, they are up and ready. One of those, and we'd like your participation with, is what is the one Titan, in your opinion, that would be the main story after the first week of training camp that is not named Cameron Ward, the quarterback? And we'll get into that a little later on, but that is one of the poll questions for you. Kevin, on the week before training camp, I wanted to delve into your mind as a Titan and a player in the league. What goes into the mind of a player knowing that training camp is next week and the summer is done?
I think there's two different mindsets. There's the young rookie, young player, and then the veteran. There's two different mindsets. The young guy, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of unknowns. You don't necessarily know what to expect. You've been in training camp, been in two-a-days, but what does it look like in a professional setting? What's the intensity like? What are we doing? You're still learning the playbook, even though you've been through many camps and OTAs and all the different things, and now you're getting more specific, and you truly are competing. Although you've been competing since April for a position, you are truly now competing for roster spots across the whole NFL. And so there's a different mentality of a young guy, let alone, and we know what the quarterback's going to do. We know Cam, that's him. And it's some other guys, now we talk about guaranteed contracts, second rounders, they're good. But for the most part, guys, there's some uncertainty. And then you got the veterans. We talked about it off air about that irreplaceable experience and leadership sometimes. And then it becomes that balance of I'm prepping for a long haul season, but I still got something to prove. But what I learned from people like Blaine and Marcus Robertson and Yancey Thigpen and Eddie George and guys when I was a young guy was how to pace training camp, when to turn intensity up, when can I back off in practice, how to treat my body between practices, how to rest between practices, when should I be studying, how to get extra film in. That's the stuff as a young guy you don't necessarily know. You watch the veterans when they were coming in the morning, 6 o'clock to get an intense workout in because we knew the morning practice was going to be light, or we had pull workout between workouts, like different things that you learn from a veteran, how to pace yourself for the long haul, now 17 games. So there's a difference of variance of preparation between a young guy and a veteran who's been there.
Learning how to be a pro is what I heard a lot in there.
Yeah.
And that's so important for not just rookies, but maybe, a guy that's counted as year one who maybe was an undrafted somewhere else last year, or with the Titans, just continuing to learn what that looks like. You told on yourself, you said two-a-days. I'm glad they don't have those anymore, and I guarantee you these players in that building.
Which is crazy
else.
Because football is such a conditioned sport of banging and things of that nature. And I'll be interested to see the data behind it as far as soft tissue injuries, maybe some dislocation, things of that nature, compared to the late 90s or the 2000s or even before. Are there seemingly more hamstring pulls, quad pulls, things of that nature compared to, say, a 10-year span of 1999 to 2009-ish, whatever that is, and see if there's actually a comparison to that. That'd be interesting to see.
And that's the other part that I was going to hit on as you're describing what that's like for a player before the week before camp. I'm just thinking about how the difference in resources guys like you had on those, what I call Gen 1 Titans, the original building blocks, versus now. And all of the technology that's involved. I mean, the GPS trackers tell you how many steps, what exertion rate, how much speed you got on a route, all of those things to go into seeing where it is for rest, recovery, future treatment, whatever, and injury probability even. That's where things have gone. It's just, and I'm fascinated to see where AI comes into those things, because that's going to be a thing. It's already being integrated everywhere else.
Right.
Why not football too, right?
Interesting, Lev. I don't know if I would, I have my tracker on my watch, how many steps I take for the day, but it's interesting because a lot of what the NFL for practice and camps is dictated. Your time is dictated. So whether you're an individual period, one-on-ones, all that kind of stuff you want to see, it's just a matter, dang, I went this hard during this period. My heart rate was there. It'd be interesting to hear it. I don't think it would change much, at least from my perspective, and what my preparation when I would do anything else. I think it's good for the trainers to see. It can condition you to, or alert them to maybe cardiovascular condition and things of that nature. Because a lot of times I didn't find out until after I played that I had something like that. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, wow. So it's just interesting to be able to have this technology to utilize stuff like that.
Piggybacking off of that, it's got to be super important for you as the player to be able to talk to the training staff and the physicians, whatever, but certainly the training staff in, hey, listen, this is what I do every week to prep my body to play for a game because I know my body and I have X, Y, and Z going on. It's super important to establish that line of communication so that, because those trainers work their rear ends off anyway, but they probably have during the year, during the regular season, 53 different approaches to that for 53 different guys.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting, we talk about, to say that week before, as you mentioned before, the first question of the day is, at this point, it was the hay's in the barn. Either you're ready for training camp or you're not. And you will be exposed one way or the other if you are or not aren't. And I think now the awareness from a physical preparation standpoint and longevity standpoint, using the example of somebody like LeBron, right, or even Derrick Henry, and it's been broadcasted or advertised on how much they spend on their bodies in the off season to be able to prepare for a long season. And I think that awareness and that knowledge that is out there now comparative to 20, 30 years ago or 40 years ago, where it wasn't necessarily at the knowledge base that it is now, guys are more prepared for the start training camp from a nutritional standpoint, from a physical standpoint, because they're going out and hiring these individuals who are now making good money prepping for professional athletes to be able to be prepared for a long season. And so I think they come in with that knowledge base, and then the trainers just add to it because they're out here watching. And like I said before, I'd be interested to see with the lack of two-a-days and things of that nature, the soft tissue injuries, because you're going, it's hot and conditioning your body and stretching those muscles to extremes, especially like we talked about some of the young guys who I'm going out. I got to do special teams. I got to do regular teams. I got to do everything. Stuff I've never done before. And how is your body reacting to that? And that's what I think why I love how this research is kind of integrating itself into sports. And we're seeing it in high school now. They're wearing the heart monitors and the sweat stuff and things of that nature. It's trickled down to the high school world right now, and head covers and things, because people want to be aware. They want that knowledge. Yeah.
The other thing that I'm thinking about as you're describing all of these things and how much things have changed, you think immediately about, we're old enough, Kevin, that when we were kids, NFL players, they had jobs in the off season. And so training camp was to get ready to get in football shape. And, there was a time it was 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And more than 4 preseason games and 2-a-day practices, padded the whole bit. You went to camp to get into shape.
Yeah.
Now.
So glad I didn't go through that.
Oh, gosh. I couldn't even imagine. But just thinking about, these guys now, they either stay at their home base with their team and make use of those resources, but a lot of guys go to wherever closer to home or wherever they're comfortable with, all those different places. They're out west, down in Florida, Texas, whatever. And put in the work that way, and then come back and show up for what is required of the off-season program.
Yeah. I love working out here in Nashville, in the city, but I also thought it was important to get away for a little bit, get different scenery. I'd go back to Utah. I'd work out at the University of Utah, do my own thing away from even the players. Sometimes I even did what they did, just the reflection and being like, I remember these days sort of thing. But for the most part, you do your own thing. There's a different level of training that you, from college to pro even though college is pretty intense now too. But I think it's always good for you to get away from the monotony, if you will, the everyday of going up to the facility and doing your own thing. I think that's important just from a mental state, just to get away from it, because it is a long season. From mid-July till hopefully till February, you're here, you're in it. You got that bye week where you get a few days to yourself and to your family. And if you get that early bye week, it's even longer, or even the late bye week. You know what I mean? So I think that is important especially for young guys. Get away from here for a week or two, if not longer, while you have that break, if you will, and just go do your own thing, But I also understand pockets are deeper, as we'll get into. Some guys got deeper pockets than others, so I get that too.
That's true. Yeah, I think what you're describing is what we've learned from the pandemic 5 years ago. So many people still work remotely. Well, you can go work remotely because, you don't have to be in the building. You're still putting in the work. You're just doing it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you're right. Rinse and repeat. You know that Monday's this day, Tuesday's your day off, Wednesday's this practice, Thursday that, Friday walkthrough, here we go, rinse and repeat, another game.
Yeah.
So you break up the monotony that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great insight. Dr. Kevin Dyson filling in for Buck Rising and Lucas Panzica with me, Rhett Bryant, here on the Buck Rising Show. When we return, we're going to talk about a big story that broke in the NFL last night, and that is NFLPA Executive Director Lloyd Howell somewhat unexpectedly resigned last night amid much recent scrutiny. We'll get into that next. It is fascinating and way over my head in terms of legalese. We'll try to walk through it when we get back to you on the Buck Rising Show here on 104.5 The Zone.
Lake lovers, listen up. It's Buck Rising. Tennessee National Lakefront Resort Golf and Marina Community is releasing a brand new phase of lake lots, one day only, Saturday, July 26th. You can get a cottage package with a boat slip from $359,900, a 1.5 acre lake lot with covered boat slip from just $99,900. Move-in ready homes with free upgraded outdoor kitchen, just $30K off. Private golf cart access to a new marina and resort, 10 miles of walking trails, 3.5 miles of shoreline, a brand new 26,000 square foot clubhouse, waterfront concerts, pickleball, pools, on-site coffee shop, and much more. Play on the lake or simply relax at the waterfront restaurant just over 20 minutes from Knoxville, Tennessee. Financing is available. Celebrate the lake life and make memories. This limited property release Saturday, July 26th. Visit TennesseeNational.com or call 865-408-9992 to secure your private tour. Memories begin here at Tennessee National.
Welcome back. It's the Buck Rising program, fueled by Hattie B's on 104.5 The Zone. Buck and Lucas out today. Robert Walsh making it happen behind the glass. Bert, thank you for that. But the Miracle Man is here, Dr. Kevin Dyson, to help me get through your midday on a Friday, and I hope it's a good one for all of you. I hope you're staying cool out there because just in time for camp, summer is
hottest time of the year right now.
Oh, my gosh. I looked at next Wednesday's first practice on the field as they report Tuesday and then practice Wednesday morning, I think a high of 99. Now, morning practice, not two-a-days, so that's a plus. It
don't matter.
But at the end of that, well, as humid as it is and the dew point so high, it's still going to be sweltering by the time practice is done.
I personally, and not that I love two-a-days, so let me say that.
I don't know anybody that does, so yeah.
But that first practice was always so fun. Because, it's the intensity, the optimism of the season, the preparation. We're about to go on this journey together. That first practice and the anticipation of what's to come. I mean, guys, you've done, but you want to see the new guys and you put, oh, man, it just that, the getting up that early morning. You almost don't sleep the night before. It's almost like getting ready for a game in a lot of respects, man, because it's just like you're excited for that new opportunity to prove yourself, new opportunity. You set goals for yourself. You set goals for your team. And it's just that first day is, here we go, it's step one, and then, as a veteran, like we talked about before, there's that natural order of things that how to prepare yourself. You learn over time, like when I can really turn it on, when can I really just take mental reps, so to speak, and things of that nature. But that first day is always so fun.
There's a lot of firsts as a player. Mm-hmm. You described that one, and then obviously there's the first preseason game. But really, more importantly, that first contact in a regular season game. It's like, I got the butterflies. Okay, I got a pop. All right, here we go.
Yeah. Even like you said, the preseason game, because it's just, you just want to get your touch or block or whatever it is, hit, tackle, something. You just want to get it out your system, so to speak. Like, man, it's here. Let's go. It just, and again, after the first preseason game, and they're reducing all the games now. We talked about it, but after that first one, we good. We just, I'm warmed up now. Let's get to the regular season. But it was preseason is long. Used to be long. Them 4 weeks used to be long for a veteran.
I think it's going to get shorter in the future because you hear whispers of 18-game regular seasons, and I think eventually that will be a thing. And it's funny that we go into that because major story out of the National Football League last night as the executive director of the NFL Players Association, Lloyd Howell, resigns that post after 2 years on the job, which is just wild. And to put it in context, because, again, this is way over my level of education, but so J.C. Treader, the former offensive lineman for the Browns, he was a center, is high up in that NFLPA organization. And from what I can gather, 2 years ago, not very transparent about the vetting and hiring, and all of a sudden just said, here's the guy.
Right.
And so the wild part about that is 3 months before he was named the executive director, he had taken on a consulting role with a private equity firm that is interested in minority ownership of National Football League teams. And while at the time that wasn't a huge conflict of interest, it eventually became one officially because the league did not approve private equity firms to pursue minority stake ownership properties until August of last year. But still, it's a kind of a red flag. You're like, wait a minute. I thought you're supposed to be for the players, representing what's best for them. Because the reason it's such a big story, Kevin, is in our lifetimes, there have been two guys that held that post previous to him, to Lloyd Howell, for a total of 40 years.
That's crazy to me.
DeMaurice Smith did it for 14 years prior to that, and then it was Gene Upshaw. And Gene Upshaw was that through 2 work stoppages in 83 and 87. And I think that's what's lost on some of this is the vetting process, which was not disclosed in this last hire, is there needs to be a person who I do believe has a legal background and knows legalese and maybe is an attorney or a practicing one, but also has some strong connection and hopefully a former player that has a good balance between knowing, because you're a liaison between the league and all the players and the reps.
Yeah.
And you need a balance there. But this is a wild story because just a few weeks ago, Kevin, there was this huge story that Pablo Torre came out with, and I think Mike Florio with Pro Football Talk about collusion with the league. And listen, this goes back to, and this is going to lead to, it all kind of winds together. This is going to lead to our later conversation in the Buck Rising show about second-round draft picks getting guaranteed money. Because the genesis of some of this is the dad-blamed Cleveland Browns. So what do? They give a fully guaranteed contract to Deshaun Watson a few years back. Well, they're one of the reasons why this second-round logjam is finally coming undone and guys are getting agreed to terms before they go to camp in this year's draft picks in the second round because they gave a fully guaranteed contract to their first selection in the second round, linebacker Carson Schlesinger. And then the Texans turned around and did the same thing with Iowa State wide receiver Jaden Higgins. But anyway, as a result of, and you knew this was going to happen when
Domino effect.
Because when the Browns gave all of that guaranteed money to Deshaun Watson because they are so desperately looking for the next quarterback that takes them to the promised land. You knew there'd be other quarterbacks going, I'm as good as he is. Where's my guaranteed money? And so the report was through this, one of the things with Lloyd Howell is that there was a conversation at owners' meetings a couple of 3 years back saying, don't encourage guaranteed contracts. We already got one in the hen house, Fox in the hen house here. And basically saying they were colluding with one another. And of course, the owners were pushing back going, listen, Russell Wilson, there's a lot of people that don't think Russell Wilson's good enough to have. I mean, there was all this conversation behind closed doors. And so there's been a bunch of controversy surrounding Lloyd Howell just 2 years into this job. And now he's out. He resigned.
What's interesting, we'll go back to the guaranteed contracts, specifically moving into round two. For an NFL football player, traditionally, the only guarantee was what you can get up front, that signing bonus. The rest of it was year to year, if you will.
4 years, probably a 2 year. A 5 years, probably a right.
Right. And so and there was always no guarantees. And I know a lot of people would expect football players that you make a king's ransom and things of that nature, but that's why players have held out over the years and trying to get some of that guaranteed money. Some of the things now seemingly the guarantee over the extent of the contract. And I'm here for the player because it's not a long term. You got a short window of opportunity. If you're fortunate, you play into your 30s, but the vast majority of guys don't, right? There's a few that play into the 30s. And so you get what you can while you can. So for them, from a player's perspective, kudos. Especially going to second round, I'm getting guaranteed money. But the domino effect, the ripple effect of that is where does it end? Because now we're into that second round. Third rounders are going to start, give me 3 years guaranteed.
And then day three guys raising their hand over here going, hey, don't forget about us.
That's it. Signing bonuses are going to go up. All the different things, domino effect. So it's going to be interesting to see over the next several years how they pull back. Because remember, they're the contracts in the first round were getting out of hand, and they pulled back on that a few years ago because quarterbacks were getting so much money, first 2 or 3 picks, that they pulled back on that a little bit. And now we're seeing this guaranteed money. So it's going to be interesting to see how the owners respond. And you said the collective agreement is in 5 years?
Yeah.
The new one?
So, and that's the other thing. This could negatively affect what's happening. They're 5 years away. The current CBA runs through 2030, and a lot can happen between now and then. But I can't imagine the Players Association is really thrilled right now with everything that's come out. Because here's the other thing. J.C. Tretter, who I mentioned, and this former executive director who resigned last night, Lloyd Howell, apparently there's screenshots of text conversation between the two of them about encouraging running backs to fake injuries so they can kind of glide through a season. Just, like all kinds of behind the curtain stuff that shouldn't be exposed to the sunlight, but has. It's wild. But this is a huge story because, I mean, outside of Roger Goodell probably the most next important person in that landscape is the player association's executive director, because he is the conduit, the mouthpiece. I mean, listen, I'm sure Gene Upshaw had his criticisms of people that maybe weren't crazy about him, but he held that for a long time for a reason.
Yeah. What I don't understand is the hierarchy of it all. Like, who hires, who fires, who recommends, like all the different things, right? Because it seems conflict of interest if Goodell is putting that person in place and firing or sets the standard.
And I don't think it's that. I think there's an executive committee of NFLPA guys. There's a board.
Yeah, there must be. And
because that would be silly, because that leads to more of what we're talking about now with another person resigning down the road.
Yeah. And then it's conflict of interest. And so to your point earlier, and you kind of describing what needs to be in there, I think an advocate for the players definitely needs to be somebody who quote unquote gets it, because has been through that process, been through a contract negotiation, been through the injuries, that understands the psyche of professional football player. I'm not going to say professional athlete, professional football player, because of the lack of guarantees, which I'm saying that as they're extending the guarantees to the second round. But before, there was no guarantees, and that our negotiation was the contracts and how they're structured. But if they're extending that to guaranteed contracts into the second round, well, that's just going to keep opening up the floodgates.
Well, and you think about the collective bargaining, the television money, that cap goes up. It went up, another $25 million this year, which is bananas. When you think about in 1993, when Blaine Bishop was a rookie, the salary cap was $34 million for each team.
Dang.
And it's like $280 now, $290, whatever it is. It's just nuts.
I remember when we crept up into the hundreds, and we were thinking like,
What in the world has happened? Yeah.
Oh, man.
You talk about contracts increasing. Think about this. And the Titans have an example here, and there's one on every other 32. But the undrafted free agent market is so competitive when you're getting to working the phones in that day three, and it's like, hey, we may take you. If not, we want you as a preferred free agent.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon is the guy who's a tackle. He played right tackle for Florida last year. And he had before that, had played at San Diego State for 4 years, and then he transferred at the transfer portal. But had a good year at right tackle, even with all the things they had with Graham Mertz, tearing a knee and DJ Lagway in and out. And they didn't have the season that they wanted. He didn't allow a sack in all of his starts. He was a preferred free agent, and I reported, I think it was $265,000 up front and guaranteed monies to be a UDFA, which is wild. Now,
that's crazy.
Oh, I know. Think about it.
And there's no guarantees he's going to be on the – I'm not saying – but –
he doesn't know, and I don't. I mean, probably behind the curtain, the coaching staff has a decent idea whether he's going to make it or not, but nobody really knows. We've got to get to training camp next week. Got to put pads on. Got to have some joint practices.
Yes, and he's got $265.
Yeah.
Well, after taxes, we'll call it $180.
That ain't chump change.
No, as a free agent.
And in contrast to comparison, think about what the rookie guaranteed minimum salary was when you were coming in. That's got to be somewhere in the same. It's more.
The rookie minimum was it's more. The rookie minimum, I think I came in was like 144.
Yeah, there you go.
That was the rookie minimum. So
that's nuts. Hey, let's go to the phone. 615-737-1045. Philly Mike wants to talk about Eugene Upshaw. What's up, Philly Mike?
All right. Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Great, and you?
All right. Good. I think the main issue going way back to 1970, before the merger, the AFL, NFL, Eugene Upshaw obviously was the Players Association rep, but he and Pete Rozelle were good buddies. And I really think that was the time when the players had the most leverage to say, hey, we want guaranteed money, we want this, we want that, and it didn't happen. I think the NFL probably, and I'm just guessing on this, they probably cut a check to Eugene, and the vote went to the owner's direction, and the owners have never let go ever since 1970. That would have been the best time to do it, because you had the AFL, you had the NFL, and those owners of the AFL all should be in the Hall of Fame, because what they did, they really had a great league, and it was faster, it was more exciting, and formed what we see today. So I really think it goes back to 1970, and the players really never had the opportunity to get the most, because if anyone deserves guaranteed contracts, it's NFL players. I played college basketball. I never made the NBA. But, man, NFL players deserve every penny that they get because they have the shortest career of any other pro sports. They have CT issues, health issues, and things of that nature there, man. The players deserve whatever they can get. So whoever this next person is better be a good representation for the players because that's who we go to see every Sunday, Monday, Thursday nights. But that's all I got, guys. Thank you.
All right.
I say we put Philly Mike in the chair.
It sounds like he's got a plan.
Man, I'm here for it. I mean,
honestly, he's right, too, though. And I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
but I think going back that far, there's probably some politics. I mean, there's politics and everything. But that probably would have been the time. But listen, that's living in a perfect world, too. And we don't.
And I get it. Go from a ownership perspective. Football is one of the most violent sports of all sports because of your physical contact on every play. There's some kind of contact, and so the chances of injuries, percentage wise, is higher than say a baseball player, right? Although there are major injuries in baseball, just like anything else. I don't know how hockey even does guaranteed contracts, but they do. And you talking about collision at 80 miles per hour, they're moving. And
on razor blades.
On razor blades with a helmet that's paper thin. And I'm like, how, and we're not even talking about they're playing, 80, how many matches they play at the
82, I think. 82? I think it's like the NBA.
Yeah. And we're not even talking about them, but because football's king, especially in the United States. So I get it from an owner standpoint of not wanting to guarantee health benefits, money, because NBA, you get vetted, you got health benefits throughout the duration of your life.
Yeah.
NFL, we don't have that.
Right.
You retire, you got 5 years, we pay for this.
And then you're on your own.
You can pay for it, but you're on your own.
Yeah.
And so I get it from a fiscal standpoint, from an ownership standpoint, right? I also understand why they don't want to guarantee contracts because of that. You can go out there and have a career-threatening injury like I had myself going into my third year and say, God, we guarantee this guy an 8-year, $200 million contract. He can't even play the last 5. Now I'm stuck. And now we see use Cleveland as an example.
Look at Deshaun Watson.
Watson. He's going to be paid regardless. And he probably going to be on that roster next year.
Mailbox money.
Yeah. So I get it from that standpoint. From a player standpoint, though, because it is such a short window of opportunity, I understand fighting tooth and nail for every bit you can get. I would love for them to fight for benefits. I've seen players older than me that played in the 70s and 80s and see them walking, can't bend their elbows all the way straight, limping, and have not had health benefits for the duration that they would qualify for because it's pre-existing injuries and things of that nature. Even guys from my era I see that have had some health issues and things of that nature. And I'm 50 years old. And so I would love for them to fight for that for the guys going forward, stuff like that. But the money piece with the TV contracts and things of that nature, we're kind of seeing that right now with the guarantees in the second round. But these owners are businessmen. That's their number one. That's their number one business. At the end of the day, do they want to win a championship? Yeah. But I'm in the business of making money. So I have to make money. So I'm not going to give up my business of making money just to make sure this player who played for my franchise for 4 years has this health benefits for the rest of his life or gets this guaranteed contract because they are in the business of making money.
It's one of the biggest businesses in North America, not named Amazon or Apple or whatever you want to throw. I mean, you said it right a minute ago. I've said for a long time, soccer rules the world, but football rules North America.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that football footprint, and evidenced by league games going international all over the place, they're wanting to grow that part of it too. But I think that's what the sense of urgency was in Philly Mike's call a minute ago as to how important it is for this person, whoever this is that is the successor of Lloyd Howell, NFLPA executive director that resigned last night, knowing what's on the horizon in this next 5 years before the next CBA is bargained. And you touched on one of the big ones, and that is whether you can have lifetime health benefits after you gave your body to a sport.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there are people who say, well, you knew what you were getting into. Well, you're not having to live day to day with the aches and pains and surgeries or whatever is going on.
And don't hold that against me because I was talented enough.
Correct.
I was blessed with the talent to be able to do something that
because
only
if you
1%
were,
of
you
people
would
can
do it too.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then you would fight for that same benefit.
And there's so many things that are on the horizon. Because, listen, again, I think it's when, not if, that there's an 18-game schedule. And so what does that bring on? Does that bring on a bigger taxi squad than what they have now? Does that bring on an extra bye week and they extend the season in another week? And we have the Super Bowl, Halloween, Valentine's Day weekend. Like, there's so many things that but you're already at 17, so it's not beyond the realm of possibility. Plus, the way that works right now, the Titans are in this, and being in the AFC, you have 3 preseason games, 2 of them on the road, and then you have the advantage this year of 9 home games. And it alternates year to year because it's an odd number.
Right.
League don't want to fool with that much longer. No. They want even numbers.
I never liked that. Why go from 16 to 7? Just go to 18. Cut the preseason down in half. That was my thoughts.
And I think part of that goes back to ownership again, because I don't know what's changed, but it used to be that the preseason games is where the owners made the most money. They would get all the gate and all that stuff. And, if you, depending on the pay structure of the teams, if you were paid in 18 weekly checks instead of year round, that week 1 check didn't come to week 1.
Mm-mm.
So they were making all the cabbage. But it's fascinating just to see where this sport is evolving to and what it's going to end up being. And gosh, we got our own stuff to think about here with Cameron Ward as the quarterback, a new stadium in 2 years.
Yeah, come on.
It's a lot of stuff.
Hey, what they tell you, follow the money.
In just about anything, just football.
Follow the money. That's going to tell you the story.
That's right. That's Dr. Kevin Dyson. I'm Rhett Bryan. We're both filling in for Buck Rising. Lucas Panzica on the Buck Rising Show, fueled up by Hattie B's. More of the show when we return, and we will discuss the one big thing. Lucas Panzica is going to bring us that and continue to discuss things around the league. Second round contracts. We'll have a visit with Coach Mac, Dave McGinnis. It's all on the way as you listen to the Buck Rising Show, fueled by Hattie B's on 104.5 The Zone. Early 80s Clash bringing us back on the Buck Rising Show, fueled by Hattie B's. Rhett Bryan in for Buck Rising and Lucas Panzica with Kevin Dyson, Dr. Kevin Dyson, Gen 1 Titan, as I call him, one of the building blocks of pro football in the Music City and in the Mid-South.
That just means I'm old, bro.
Well, I'm older than you are, so guess who's in that boat with you? I'm so proud of what you have done post-career.
Yeah, thank you.
You talked about good year, injury, good year, injury, good year, injury. I remember one of the last times I saw you before you came back to town, that you were with the Carolina Panthers, and we were Titans were playing them in the preseason game, and you came in looking for us, and you were rehabbing, but you were with some of the guys in the booth, a couple of booths down from us there at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, and I think about what could have been, and of course I'm allowed to do that.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine how tough it has been on you and what could have been. But I often feel like, and I told you this before we started the show, that helped fuel a lot of your drive and determination to what you've done as a professional and an administrator and a principal of a school, and helping children and getting master's degrees and your doctorate and things. And you're a published author now. I mean, it's wild.
I don't know. My mama said they sit my butt down somewhere.
But I just remember the young Utah Ute coming into Nashville, and here you've been picked ahead of Randy Moss and all of that stuff, and all the just adversity on and off the field, whether it's, golly, but it's amazing to see where you are now. You are Dr. Kevin Dyson.
Man, I appreciate it,
wild.
Bro. I appreciate that, bro. First of all, there's pressure being a first-round pick regardless, and being the first pick of the city, that's added. And then you add I was drafted before Randy, and then the injuries, and just feel like I let a lot of people down, let alone myself down, and I never amounted to what I had pictured for my career. Like I said, I played 2 seasons that had an injury, then came back, had a good year, had an injury, then came back, had another injury, and it was just like, man, I couldn't win for losing is how I felt. But on this side of football, I recognize football doesn't last forever. It didn't go where I wanted it to go. So it was, what can you do from that? What can you learn from that? And it's taken me a long time to get to this point. And I think becoming a high school administrator or principal helped me with that, because I was leading other peoples who were having issues. And from what I think about it, football is just a small piece of the puzzle of life. It's entertainment for most. I was fortunate and blessed with skills to be able to play at that level. Yeah. And there's 1% of people that have that skill. So I've learned to appreciate that in itself. And then my journey wasn't what I wanted, wasn't ideal, but what can I learn from that, and what can I teach people from that journey? And that's kind of what fueled me. And that's why I have transitioned into now trying to start my own school that's somewhat in my image, if you will, of something from a mental health awareness and aspect, and a physical and emotional awareness health aspect. So it's a school for sports, but it's strong in academia, and that's the new journey, new challenge. And in part, I've been a part of 2 special plays in this city, one more memorable than the other, I would assume. But to be able to talk about those 25 years later now, it's 25 years since those plays happened. Yep. And to be able to now transition into being able to now starting a school that can last longer than that, longer than me, that can still be here, do this thing right. It's a legacy that will leave in this city for when I'm gone from the city or whenever happens. And that was ultimately one of the reasons why I embarked on this new journey, man, just be able to, hopefully impact lives in a whole different way, because there's a whole bunch of Kevin Dysons have aspirations. My aspiration was to go to the NBA. I wanted to be the next Michael Jordan, like most kids. I want to be like my. That was me. But you and everybody else in the world. And I was a 1%er in football, and I made it. And now there's other kids in this city or abroad that have the same kind of aspirations, whether football, whatever it is. But I want to expose them to other aspects of sports. Whether it be as we're doing broadcasting, radio, there's producing, there's editing, there's TV and film, there's physical therapy, there's becoming an agent, sports agency. There's so many aspects of sports that are in the shadows, if you will, that are impactful and make the professional sports world go. And being able to be on this side of retirement and having experience in some of those aspects, whether it been hosting a podcast, had been doing color commentary on TV and radio, and now doing stuff like this and doing pre and post for Titans games, having had some experience in doing some things in other aspects of sports that has been part of my growth and my maturation, and I've enjoyed. I want to be able to provide that with kids, and so that's the new challenge. That's the new journey. How it looks still remains to be seen, but that's the next phase, man.
Well, you've basically broken news here on the Buck Rising program. You are in a new school venture and path, and what you're telling me there, as I'm hearing you, is you have nearly a quarter of a century of adult perspective post-career that led you to where you are now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Perspective is super important.
When you're young and they tell you wisdom comes with age and experience, you don't understand that when you're young. And then you go year to year, and the gray hairs are truly a sign of wisdom. And they're earned. They're earned. Yeah. And by your experience, as we were talking about what Coach Mack talks about, experience is irreplaceable. And it's our responsibility as the elders, if you will, the elders, but
the old heads,
to share, impart that wisdom. Yeah. Now it's up to that young fella, young lady, whomever, to take what you give to them and apply it. You hope that they do, and you're going to reach a few, but you hope they apply it because your experience have taught you this. My nephew right now, Andre's son, who just committed to Colorado State. I'm gonna call him today. I just found out last night. He's one of the top recruits in the state of Utah, just like his brother, just like his dad, just like his uncle.
Why are we going there?
It's the NIL thing. But he just broke his collarbone.
Oh, no.
So I got to call my nephew and check on his spirit because he's going to his senior year of high school football and he can't play for 8 to 12 weeks.
And Unc's been there and done that.
And been there and done it. So I got to call my nephew when we get off. I'm calling when I get off of here.
Yeah.
And talk to my nephew, just make sure where his headspace at. Because why? Because Unc has been there. And what's interesting, my little brother, Andre, when I was at University of Utah, I went to it was a senior year. I think it was second round of playoffs of high school football. Went to the game. I asked my coach, can I leave? Because we were staying in a hotel, getting ready for our games Friday night. He dislocates his shoulder. So here I am with my little brother. I'm in the stands. My mom's not there. She's at work. Single mother, works, 4 kids. I'm at the game. I don't know what to do. I got to take my little brother to the hospital. The only hospital I knew was the University of Utah Hospital, which was like 30-something minutes away. So I drove him all the way to Salt Lake City from, I think we were in Layton or something, and drove him 30 minutes to the hospital. Mom was like, "Why you take him there? There's a hospital right around." I don't know. I'm a kid. I'm a kid. Yeah. It's my little brother. I'm trying to get him somewhere. I knew that hospital. I had to be back at the hotel. The hospital was close to the hotel I need to get back to for football, and I took him up there. But it's interesting. That was his senior year. He ended up coming back, played Utah, and went to the pros and everything else. So I just got to remind my nephew that, man. Your dad went through his senior year as well, and he look at him. So.
There it is. That's fantastic. And I'm not the part about him breaking his collarbone, obviously. Poll questions. I'm going to get to, listen, Bert, Robbie Walsh, at Robbie Walsh on X, producer of the Buck Rising Show, taking care of us today. Two Rivers Ford poll. What's the most positive story you've seen in sports this week? Another one, who emerges from the first week of Titans training camp that is not named Cam Ward? And a poll, should the Titans re-sign Roger McCreary in 2026? We'll get to Lucas Panzica's one big thing when we start hour 2 of the program. And then at 11:20, Coach Mac, Dave McGinnis joins us on the Buck Rising Show. Rhett Bryan, Kevin Dyson filling in for the guys. It's fueled by Hattie B's on 104.5 The Zone.
What's going on? 11:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The second-round rookie contract logjam starting to clear up as the Seahawks have given in. They're signing the number 35 overall pick, which is originally the Titans pick before trading back. Safety Nick Emenwari to a fully guaranteed 4-year, $11.5 million rookie contract. This means the first 3 picks of the second round have gotten fully guaranteed contracts for the first time in NFL history. Titans second-round pick Femi Oladejo still remains unsigned ahead of next week's training camp. Speaking of guys getting paid, the Steelers and star pass rusher TJ Watt have agreed to a historic 3-year, $123 million extension with $108 million guaranteed. Watt, with that $41 per year, is now the NFL's highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. The Steelers' busy offseason now includes 2 of the biggest contracts in franchise history based off total dollars on both sides of the ball, with DK Metcalf receiving 4 years, $132 million. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour 2 of the program, the Buck Rising Show, fueled by Hattie B's. Buck and Lucas both out. Robert Walsh behind the glass, back and making things happen for me, Red Bryan, alongside Dr. Kevin Dyson on a Friday afternoon. Hour 2 of the program rolling along. We hope you will join us and hope you're having a good start to the weekend, that you're going to get your things done and get into the weekend and roll. Two Rivers Forward poll questions. And they are on X. I have retweeted those from at Robbie Walsh, Bert's X account. Two Rivers Forward poll questions. Should the Titans re-sign Roger McCreary in 2026? That is one of those. What is the most positive story you've seen in sports this week? And finally, who emerges from the first week of Titans training camp, that is next week, that is not named Cameron Ward, the quarterback of your Tennessee Titans? And speaking of an eventful week in sports, I mean, man, you got guys being suspended, and you got guys in high positions like NFLPA executive director Lloyd Howell resigning last night. TJ Watt gets big money. Second rounders are getting guarantees. They also had the SEC Media Days 2025 in Atlanta all week. In fact, 3HL had excellent coverage from there all week long. They're back in studio today to discuss all that happened. In honor of that, as it pertains to the Tennessee Volunteers, Lucas Panzica, what is one big thing?
One big thing about Tennessee football in 2025 is something we've talked about a lot on this show. Talented, but unproven, with the biggest question mark coming at the most important position in sports. Joey Aguilar is probably expected to be the starting quarterback. He has the most experience. He's coming in with an NIL value attached to him, but there will be a legitimate competition played out in training camp to see who ends up taking the reins of this offense that is looking to still make up some ground and has not reached the heights, not even really close to what we saw in 2022. But across the board, this is probably the highest talent profile roster that Josh Heupel has had, with the exception, of course, of the quarterback position, but not much by way of proven talent and experience. Outside of Jermod McCoy, the cornerback on defense, who very well could be a first-round pick last year if he can recover from his ACL tear and have a good season, and Miles Kitselman on offense, who is a leader and is a guy that really emerged for Tennessee last year, there's just not much by way of proven talent. Mike Matthews has to have a breakout season at wide receiver. Joshua Josephs has to have a breakout season rushing the passer. Tennessee expects to bring back another stout defensive line, Bryson Easton in the middle of it. It's a deep group. It's one of those groups that you just let Rodney Garner do his thing over there and you don't worry about it. But is that baseline expectation of what we've put at 8-4 going to be what ends up coloring Tennessee's season? Can they go one game higher? Will they end up going one game lower? I'm fascinated to see how this season tests Josh Heupel's mettle as a head coach, finding different ways to win with, on many weeks, probably a talent disadvantage at the quarterback position, which you certainly did not have last year, or really even the year before that with Joe Milton when it came to pure talent, and obviously the year before that with Hendon Hooker. We've talked about it as a potential kind of gap year for Tennessee, trying to hold things down, continuing to stockpile talent, and 5-star quarterback Faison Brandon coming down the pipe. But we'll see if Josh Heupel can make this anything more than that for Tennessee football in 2025.
All right, Lucas, thank you for that. Lucas will be back from vacation next week, and that is the one big thing. And he led appropriately, Kevin Dyson, with Joey Aguilar, more likely probably the starting quarterback. The wake of Nico Iamaleava leaving and going to UCLA that's the other thing. We're both of you and I are talking this afternoon like we're old heads, I guess because we are old heads. The college football is the wild, wild west. I mean, transfer portal, NIL, it's bananas to think of what it's become. But at the quarterback position, it's not necessarily set in stone. And Josh Heupel, head coach, seemed like cryptically he was speaking that he does not want to pursue a 2-quarterback system and also wouldn't lean into, who potentially could be the guy. So they have Joey Aguilar, they have Jake Merklinger, and then George McIntyre, the local prospect from down the road at Brentwood Academy. There's a lot of washout to that. But the one thing I found interesting in Josh Heupel's presser, he's very bullish on this Vols defense. And I think part of that leans into up front. That's probably the most veteran squad or position group because they've got, and that's saying something considering James Pierce is now in the National Football League about to begin his rookie season and all those things. But man, there's a lot swirling around the Vols as they head into 2025.
I'm excited for them. I thought last year defensively they carried the team a lot more than people give them credit for. I think because the quarterback was such a focal point and the Heisman hopeful and all the different things. And now with him gone, it just comes now it's about the quote unquote team. And I'm excited to see what they do this year. I think the SEC, Texas got a new quarterback, although he played some, but it's his ship. Alabama's got to bounce back, right? Or he's going to be gone. You don't lose to Vandy and all the games.
Not down there.
No. So Florida, we'll see what they do, how they bounce back this year. South Carolina, I think, is going to shock a few people. Missouri had a great defense last year. SEC is, for lack of a better, I think it's as open as we have seen of recent as far as who's really going to take the helm. I think the favorite being Texas just because of what they have returning and Manning. The bloodline. And the experience that he's given, and he's shown flashes of greatness. So I think that they get the nod. But Oklahoma's not going to be no joke either this year.
No, and a lot of excitement around Mateer, the quarterback who transferred from Washington State, and then the offensive coordinator comes with him. There's a lot of buzz around the Sooners. There is a lot of Heisman hopeful talk, not just amongst the one quarterback, Arch Manning in Texas. A lot of buzz around DJ Lagway at Florida. But I'm going to tell you another one that it's got my attention, and man, he is a big dude. He's bigger than Steve McNair. He's that kind of player. It's Lenoris Sellers at South Carolina.
I knew you were going to say
Lenoris Sellers is. Wow, there's something
saw him
there,
last
man.
year at the end of the year. Yeah. And if he gets hot, he can spin it.
He absolutely can. And you're talking about, he's 6'3" and change, but he's about 240.
Yeah,
like he's heading in more towards the Dante Culpepper, but Culpepper he's probably 265.
Well, Matt was 230 to 35.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah. So you're right. He kind of carries himself that stature like that. And not to change subject, but it's interesting we're talking about that because NIL has affected, we'll just say here locally, the Vols and things specifically. But we're talking about the business of the NFL and guaranteed contracts in the second round. Are we seeing the trickle effect of what the expectation are for high-profile players that are in those first 2 or 3 rounds based on their experience from the NIL, where they are pretty much getting guaranteed contracts across the country? And are we seeing that kind of that expectation, that ripple effect going into the NFL?
I think that's certainly possible, and I think it even becomes more possible as NIL evolves into whatever it's going to be next year, next week, whatever.
They're professional athletes.
But as evaluators in those war rooms and those scouts and coaches, I think it's important because you're going to have guys that played 3-4 different places. And did they raise their game and level up and level their team up at each stop? And
or they just chase the bag.
Right. And there are examples, one being Cameron Ward, who leveled up everywhere he went.
Yep.
Because this time, not too many months ago, a year ago, he had tiptoed into the waters of seeing where he was draft eligible. And I think he got some very good advice that probably 3rd, 4th rounder.
Yeah.
And so he goes to the University of Miami. The rest is history.
Yeah.
And so guy bet on himself, invested in himself from Incarnate Word to Washington State to a great year with the Hurricanes to being the number 1 overall pick. So there are earmarks there. Not only, I mean, and you hear Brian Callahan and Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker talk about his character and how he is a relentless worker, his work ethic, all of those things. But you can see his path, and I think that's where NIL and the transfer portal can be beneficial to a player if he puts the work in.
And I think his journey has helped him in this aspect of his life because he's not taking it for granted. Because he wasn't given so much. He was I hate the star thing. He was a 1-star coming out, all that different stuff, to building himself up to be the number 1 pick overall.
And he was 0 stars.
Right. And 0 stars, whatever that means. But you look at him, that's a guy who appreciated his opportunities and made the most of them. So now going and being the number 1 pick, he's not taking that for granted. He didn't come here like, look at me, no, he came in ready to work, and he just fit right in. And he was shouting back out at Big Jeff. Like, you little dude, that's Big Jeff. But Big Jeff loved it, though, because that's, you know what I'm saying? He was like, this dude got something, and I think the guys appreciate that. And that's what I appreciate about Cam is not only does he seemingly have the work ethic, he's also understands I'm a young guy, but I'm a gain respect to these veterans by the way I come out, way I prepare, way I practice every day, how I execute. Do I make the same mistake over and over again? The coach is yelling at me, we just went over this. But is he doing it? And he's not. And I think the guys are watching. When you're number 1 pick overall, and especially at quarterback, Mariota went through this. He wasn't number 1 overall, but
number 2.
But they are watching you.
The onus is on you.
Yeah, they know this is on you now.
Yeah.
You're driving the ship, bro. So they're watching you. And that's interesting that. And I'll go back to an example that was probably the exact opposite. Ungalele, how you say his name, from Clemson. He went to Clemson, Oregon State.
Yeah, Ungalele, I think.
Yeah,
DJ.
He's the exact opposite, right? He came in high profile, gang of stars, whatever you want to call it, had a decent time at Clemson, transfers, does okay at Oregon State, gets another bag to go to Florida State, and now where? He's
UDFA.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's the exact opposite of what we saw from Cam, right?
Bo Nix, another example on the other end of it, the Cam Ward end of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And
had a great rookie year.
And 62 or 63 starts of experience, which is huge going into the next level. I don't care where you play.
And I don't think anybody expected him to be that type of player so fast as he was in Denver last year.
Doesn't hurt him, though, that he was selected by a guy like Sean Payton who could mold that stuff around him. And
does a lot of Drew Brees type stuff.
Man, and September 7th, when the Titans open the season at Mile High, it's going to be interesting to see just where that goes because is it going to be a sophomore slump or is he going to build off of where he went?
Well, like Stroud, would you call last year a sophomore slump? He had some injuries, guys around him
he was
last
sacked
year.
56 times.
Exactly.
And that O-line has been completely made over because of that.
Yep.
So it ain't all on him.
It's not on him, but there was a dip, if you will. But now Jaden Daniels is kind of in that same boat. You know, what does he do? What he did in year 2?
The intention is there. But C.J. Stroud still had over 4,000 yards passing. Now think about this. The Titans still don't have a 4,000 yard passer.
I know. I mean, we're talking about he took a dip and he threw for 4,000 yards.
Right.
He really didn't.
Warren Moon is the season passing leader in franchise history. We have not had one in Titans history.
That's crazy.
Look, the Chicago Bears have been around over 100 years. They still don't have one. Now you think about that.
Man,
isn't that nuts?
Wow. Dang.
You know who else can tell us about the Chicago Bears and the Tennessee Titans and everything else? Because Coach Mack. He was hired by Mike Ditka right after the Super Bowl Shuffle Bears in the spring of '86 right there, and he will join us next with his knowledge, the head coach of Titans Radio, Coach Mack, Dave McGinnis. When we continue, Rhett Bryan and Kevin Dyson filling in for Buck and Lucas on the Buck Rising Show, fueled by Hattie B's on 104.5 The Zone.
Introducing Premier Generators, now in Nashville, the largest certified Generac dealer in Tennessee. When power outages strike, protect your family with a top-tier generator solution. Expertly installed by local specialists, Premier Generators dedicates itself solely to generators, offering unmatched expertise, plus enjoy the peace of mind with an extended 10-year warranty. Don't wait for the next storm. They pop up more and more these days. Schedule your consultation today. Make sure you're prepared. Visit premiergenerators.com. That's premiergenerators.com. Be prepared and choose Premier Generators for reliable power solutions. Their number, if you would like to contact them that way, is 1-855-797-4766.
Rolling through hour 2 of the Buck Rising Show on 104.5 The Zone, fueled by Hattie B's. Rhett Bryan in studio with Dr. Kevin Dyson, filling in for Buck and Lucas. Hour 2 of the program rolling on this Friday, and that wonderful bump music by Mark Morrison. Return to the MAC means it is time we return our conversation to Coach Dave McGinnis, the head coach of Titans Radio. Mac, how we doing on Friday?
Two of my favorite dudes on the Titans Radio Network. Glad to talk to you guys today.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Dr. Dyson. I'm sure you guys are crushing the show today.
That's left for interpretation. We haven't run it in the ditch. Let's put it out there like that.
There's no chance of that happening.
Hey, let's start with this. The Titans, just like most everybody else, is a week away from training camp, or actually just a few days now. For Brian Callahan, heading into year 2 as head coach and his second training camp as that head coach of the Titans, what are some of the most important duties and things that is on his radar as he begins this camp next week?
Well, I mean, for any first-year head coach, the first year is a really good learning experience. I mean, I can tell you that from my experience, and also, being in the coaching world for over 3 decades. That first year, you learn a lot. And the thing that you have to do is you have to be very cognizant of the things that you make notes of that you are going to do differently and why you are going to do them differently. He's done a thorough study of that. And so coming back, the thing that's happening now in the National Football League, because of the way the salary cap and free agency are, you've got the tone and timbre of your teams are different every year. You've got to adjust that. Plus, you've got to be able to adjust off of what has happened the year before and meld those two things. And then once you get into training camp, start seeing how you can start building the process of your new team this year. That's what he's gone through. We saw an iteration of it during the off-season work, the things that they've done. But it's got to be a very, very thoughtful process by the head coach. I can just tell you, for myself doing it, it's a very time-consuming, thoughtful process, because you want to turn over every stone that you can to be able to try to help not only your football team as a whole, but each individual player be able to have a very, very successful season for 17 weeks now, which that takes some planning.
Hey, Coach, I've always been curious about this. From a player's perspective, you've been around enough that you kind of seen the executive side, the coaching side, the player side. The preparation of it, we were talking about earlier, from a player's perspective, especially from a veteran, the pace, how to, when I can turn it on, when I can take a rep here, things of that nature. But there's always that anticipation of the optimism of going to training camp. From a coach perspective, as you're preparing and you're into that final week of preparation, what is the mindset of coaches? Is it like you said, I'm trying to make sure I got everything, every stone turned? Is it more just I'm ready to get this? I got everything. I'm good to go. What is really that mindset of coaches as y'all meet the final 3-4 days before training camp starts?
Yeah, Dice, it's a lot like the players. I mean, your days of playing, about the time July 4th hits, you've got a little time, but really, that vacation time's over. And your mind starts to go right to what you're going to do for this season. Coaches are the same way. They have progressively started working towards the opening. Believe me, as a coach, the real joy of coaching is being with your players. That is the real joy of coaching. That's the part of it. That's why everybody is in the business. If you're not in the business to do that and to help your players develop, then you're in it for the wrong reasons. But after the 4th of July, you really start moving towards the thought process of here's what I want to do. Here's what the progression that we're going to work on. I've done it from an assistant coach to a coordinator to an assistant head coach to a head coach, and your mindset is still the same. You're looking forward to getting back with your players because that is the crux of everything that's important to happening. So right now, right on the doorstep of training camp open, believe me, they're sitting on go, ready to go. But you also have to have the idea that everything has to be in a progression. You can't jump ahead of yourself as a coach, and that's one thing that you learn with experience. is experienced coaches know the progression that they need to go on, and you don't jump ahead of yourself, because if you start jumping ahead of yourself, then somewhere along the line you're going to short yourself and your players on the way you should prepare.
Coach, is there a particular battle outside of course, quarterbacks, which not necessarily a battle anymore, but is there a particular position battle that is interesting to you going into the training camp next week?
Yeah, Dice, this is a young football team, and so they've got several position groups that are unsettled yet. That off-ball linebacker group, that's an unsettled group. You've got one veteran, and you're trying to find a couple of others that can be able to handle some things that Frank Bush and Denard Wilson are going to throw at them. So that's one. The cornerback situation, to me, is something that the way the game has evolved, you always have to have at least 5 or 6 corners that are interchangeable that you're going to have to use during the season. And then you've got one of your main corners in L'Jarius Sneed that you've got to see where he's going to be. So a lot of that's going to hinge. So in the secondary, I think that's something they're going to look at. And then clearly defensively, let's stay there for a minute, is on the edge rushing group. I mean, the edge rushing group is extremely young. Now we've got some veterans there. So how that group is going to meld together, and then clearly, I spend a lot of time ever since Bill Callahan has been here. All of my early practice moments that I spend, because I'm there every day with them, is down there with the offensive line, because that reorganization of the offensive line is going to be critical this year. That's critical this year. So I think all of those. That's why I really think, Dice, that the fact that they're going to travel to Tampa to work out against the Bucs. They're going to travel to Atlanta to work out against the Falcons prior to the preseason games. It's a huge developmental time for this young football team, because from your career, you know as well as I do, when you work out against somebody else other than someone you're very familiar with, that all of a sudden you begin to really find out who's going to be able to step up when the pads are on.
Yes.
Coach Mac, Dave McGinnis with us here on the Buck Rising Show, fueled by Hattie B's. Rhett Bryan, Kevin Dyson filling in for the guys. Coach Mac, you mentioned some of the roster battles. We have a poll question today about, who maybe is the main story after the first week of training camp, not named Cam Ward. But with that kind of thought in mind, if there is a player or players that Coach Mac is interested in seeing, who is that on this roster? Well,
I mean, Rhett, you and I watch practice together all the time, and so I've got my eyes on all of them. But, it's kind of like going to the county fair. You can just ride one ride at a time. So,
where's the funnel cakes?
So you asked me, I'm really interested to see what kind of sophomore season that T. Sweat's going to have, because I think that's very, very critical to what this defense.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, that to me is very, very critical, because this is a guy that could be a difference maker, especially, with Jeffrey Simmons, in his year that he came back looking great. He's ready to play this year physically. Now what kind of sophomore season? And I think that the freshman season for T. Sweat was something that we all thought was okay, but I think there's much more there, and hopefully he thinks that too. I'm really interested to see what kind of steps he takes, because the type of step that he takes individually will really help that defense collectively.
Mac, that's applicable to a lot of guys, because there's such a youth movement and turnover on this roster. The same could be said for Jarvis Brownlee in the secondary, who's going into year 2, and even some of the year 3, year 4 guys. But for me, I am ready to see Kevin Winston Jr. start to get into the mix, lining up at safety next to Amani Hooker.
Yeah, well, that's a keep your powder dry moment, though, Brett. It really is, because the guy's got to be healthy physically first. And this coaching staff is savvy enough, and they're veteran enough. They're not going to put him in there until he's physically ready to go. So that's kind of what I've talked about when I was talking to Dice about your preparation. Sometimes you've got to be able to have a little bit of restraint as a coach. I mean, they all want to see what he can do, because you and I vet the draft very, very closely. We know this guy's a football player. Now, he hasn't been able to be on the field with this group yet because of his prior injury. So you want him healthy first. But then once you start working him in there, I can say this, and again, it's not because I've talked to anybody, specifically. I just know because I've worked with this defensive staff as a coaching staff before, as a coach. They will have some 3 safety packages available when he's going to be available. That's probably the way early on, Rhett, that they're going to start working him in. But that's a keep your powder dry moment with this player, because I'm looking at him as a long-term solution for a lot of things in that back end.
Hey, Coach, as we've talked about, I know you're a fan of veterans and leadership, and you can't replace that. I've always been an advocate for keeping veterans around. But as you look around that locker room and going into this season and thinking about what happened last year, expanding on that leadership, aside from Big Jeff being a vocal leader, being out front, and of course Cam now being thrown in that position, being the number 1 pick and a quarterback, what positions or particular person or persons do you think need to step up in the leadership role in that locker room?
I think Tony Pollard's a leader. He proved that last year when he really had to carry a load, especially when Tyson got hurt. Yeah, you know as well as I do, Dice, the one thing that gets your respect in a locker room, is 2 things: physical and mental toughness.
Yep.
That gets a respect in a locker room very, very quickly. And leadership comes at a lot of different avenues. But just the fact that he was able to soldier through last year and answered the bell as many times as he could when things weren't going right, that to me is the right kind of person, the right type of person that you would want. Amani Hooker to me is another guy. That's a solid player that is pretty much on even keel. And what you want as a leader, and I think you will agree with this, Dice, is somebody that not only performs during the week in the preparation part of it, in the classroom, in the locker room, on the field, but doesn't get too high and doesn't get too low. But you always know as a teammate they're going to answer the bell. You always know that that's going to happen. That to me is a huge part. I've been with 6 or 7 Hall of Fame players in my career on the same team, and they all had that one attribute. They always answered the bell.
Coach Mac, Dave McGinnis with us here on the Buck Rising Show. And Mac, this is, continuity, as much as you can have it, is such a big thing. You talked about Tavondre Sweat going into year 2. How, and it remains to be seen, but how important is it for the returning guys on this roster, which aren't as many as it has been in years past, to have the second year under the same offensive system with, Brian Callahan and that outfit, and obviously Denard Wilson and the defense? There's not turnover there as much. How important is that?
Well, you ask Dice right there. He can tell you as a player, the thing that you're looking for is stability. Mm-hmm. You're looking for stability. The 2 things players don't like. They don't like being unprepared. Okay, that's number 1. And they don't like surprises. Okay? And so when you're having to start over all the time, that's surprises, and you really don't know what the preparation is going to be like until you get into what the program is. It helps a lot. That's why most of the successful teams that you see, they have continuity, and it's continuity from the top down, because it's extremely, extremely important. That runs all the way through the training room. That runs all the way through the organization. It runs all the way through the weight room. Players like routine. And routine is something that they've got confidence in. So you ask me how important it is. My first job in this league, I was at one place for 10 straight years. It helped a lot.
Coach Mack, just peeling through this thing as we get closer to next week and all of this starting, I want to go back to Brian Callahan for just a second. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Amy Wells did a great Official Titans podcast with Brian Callahan that dropped 4th of July weekend. And just talking about all of the things you mentioned right off the top when we started with you in this segment about him making notes and a self-scout and a self-study and what worked and what didn't and being open to thoughts and ideas. What did you do differently, or what was a learning moment or a takeaway for you after your first year of being head coach of the Arizona Cardinals that you just needed to go through the experience to learn from?
Well, you got to learn how to delegate authority. You got to learn how to let your coaches coach. I mean, that's extremely, extremely important because, you come up through the ranks. I mean, I got a head coach. I was a head coach after my 12th year in the league. I've been in the league 12 years, and then I got a chance to be a head coach. The thing that young coaches do when they come to first year coaches, they want to do it so well that they want to try to do everything. You've got to be able to learn when to delegate authority, set a plan, stay with the plan, and then be that rock at the top that when things start to get shaky, people know that they can come to you for some stability rather than trying to do everything at once. If you try as a head coach, and again, this just comes from 31 years of experience, you try to do everything as a head coach, then you end up doing just a little bit of everything and not real good at anything. And that's, I learned that from Jeff Fisher. I learned that from Mike Ditka. I mean, it's extremely, extremely important to trust your people. I mean, that's why I was an assistant head coach, for Jeff Fisher for a dozen years. I mean, he trusted me to get some other things done so that he could maintain authority over the top of all of it. But just being able to be able to delegate and to turn things over, and then be that solidifying rock when things get hot, that you are the main decision maker, but because you've delegated that authority to your coaches and your players, then all of a sudden they all know how to react together.
So, Coach, the low-hanging fruit question as we get into training camp. Cam Ward, what are you looking for? What does a successful preseason training camp / games looks like for him, for Titans fans to feel like this is the guy? And there's a lot of comparisons to Mac and all the different things. What does that look like for Cam Ward?
He just needs consistency is what he needs. You don't need him to be all of everything. You need him to be consistent. Be consistent. That's what's extremely important. First of all, I mean, I've had rookie quarterbacks, and the one thing that when I was coaching them and talking to them is be consistent so that everybody on the teams knows they can depend on you. Don't be a real peak and valley guy. Peak and valley guys it's like riding a horse. Those horses that got a steady gait, you can ride them forever. Mm-hmm. Those that are bucking up and down all the time, it's hard to stay in the saddle. You need consistency. That's what he's got to develop, first of all.
Coach Mack, appreciate the visit, and I'm looking forward to spending we'll be together tomorrow night at the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, and then next week at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. Training camp's here. Here we go.
Absolutely. Great talking to both of you guys. See you guys.
All right, Mac. Appreciate it. Coach Mac, Dave McGinnis on the Buck Rising program. His appearance presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. When we continue, Friday Fire. What is the best moment in sports this week? And let's hear from you, because there's some good things that have happened in sports this week. That, and then hour 3 of the program around the corner, and we'll talk about training camp and second-round picks getting guaranteed money. More of that when the Buck Rising Show continues, presented by and fueled by Hattie B's on 104.5 The Zone. Let me look and see if any other second rounders have agreed to terms. I know one, Mason Taylor agreed to terms since we've been on the air. Let's see what else. It is Friday Fire Time on the Buck Rising program, fueled by Hattie B's Rhett Bryan and Dr. Kevin Dyson filling in for Buck and Lucas. Bert, you have led us into Friday Fire. Do you have a submission?
I do have a submission. Good to be back. My submission is that I am recovering from my bronchitis. Able to breathe, able to talk without wheezing and bending over myself. So I'm just happy that things are getting smoother in the breathing department on my end.
That is a beautiful thing. Any time you listen, if you're like me and the rest of us, you take your health for granted, and then you get sick, and you're like, man, if I ever get to feeling better, I will never. And then there you go.
To your point about counting on your health, I remember when we have to make our insurance eligibilities. It's like, oh, do you want dental? Do you want eye insurance or whatever? I was like, medical? Man, I don't ever get sick. I'm a waive medical. Why the hell would I have this? Well, that out of pocket whoop my ass at the urgent care.
What? And by the way, what prize do we have to give for today's submission?
Fantastic prize today. Not only can you get a family 4-pack to see Nashville host Toronto tomorrow night at Geodis, you're also going to get a family 4-pack of tickets to the Williamson County Fair. I've never been to the Williamson County Fair.
It's a lovely fair. It's a good one.
To fair to Midland, some would say.
It's better than Midland, I can tell you that.
Better than Midland. If you'd like those tickets, call us up, 615-737-1045. Tell us your Friday Fire for your chance to win.
Kevin Dyson, do you have a submission? Do you have a great moment in sports this week? I mean, you've been busy doing other things.
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't. No.
That's all right. That's good. We'll have people call in and check in. I do have one that came from SEC Media Days this week, and when it was University of Texas's turn for their day at the podium and the car wash, if you will, going through everywhere. Texas defensive back Michael Taffy, all dudded up, had a nice suit and tie, but the tie, burnt orange, of course, and it had embroidered along the length of the tie the initials of all the campers and the counselors that died tragically at Camp Mystic in the flash flooding a couple of weeks back. I thought that was a solid move.
That's solid right there.
In a way to tip your hat to a terrible, unthinkable thing that happened in Texas with just ridiculous floods in a matter of minutes. But that was a big-time move by a guy like that. All right, let's go to the phones here. 615-737-1045. Friday Fire. James in Chattanooga, you're on. What's up?
Hey, yeah, I just wanted to talk about the All-Star game. It's been kind of brushed under the rug. They did a lot of bad things, but they did one thing right, which is the Hank Aaron tribute in the 6th or 7th inning. It's really well done, turning out the lights, having it on the field, and, it's good for Hank Aaron. It's good for the sport. Glad it happened.
That's a good one. Appreciate that, James.
That's a real good one.
Absolutely. Listen, if the All-Star Game's in Atlanta, you better do something for Hammer and Hank. Yeah. What in the world? All right, back to the phones. Kyle in Nashville. What is your Friday Fire?
What's up, guys? Happy Friday. Mine's a little personal. Long story short, I am 32 years old, and about 6 months ago, I was diagnosed with gastro-stomach cancer, and as of about a week ago, it's gone. So that's my Friday Fire is, like I said, a little bit personal, but it's something that I'm extremely happy about, and your bronchitis made me think of it, and I think personal victories are a big deal. So
Kyle, first of all, congratulations. That is a legit Friday Fire, and you should celebrate that. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Appreciate it, Kyle.
Thank you.
All right, Josh in Nashville. Friday Fire, what you got?
I'm just going to hang up now. Kyle wins.
Let's see. Hang on. I'm having trouble with the phone here because
I got you. I'll throw him in here. We got Derek up next. Derek in Nashville. What's going on, Derek?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Love your show. I just want to say for me, my Friday Fire is our own Ron Slay and Tamika and them getting inducted into the Tennessee Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's just me.
By the way, yeah, I'm glad you congratulate Big Slay, man.
That's a good one, Derek.
Bro.
All right. I appreciate you guys listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, congrats, Big Slay. Didn't even get to publicly announce that, man. Just say that, man. That's awesome.
And here's the wild thing. He's going to do 2 Hall of Fames in one night. He's Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, and then he's going to be put in the University of Tennessee Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I mean, life is good.
Life is good.
All right, DJ and Franklin, Friday Fire. What you got?
Hey, guys. How y'all doing? I just want to submit that RG3 is getting ready to have a come-to-Jesus moment with Shaquille O'Neal and Ryan Clark for all of this Angel Reese talk. I secretly think he likes her because he keeps trying to denigrate her so much. But Shaq set him straight with smoke this fire, and I don't think he wants Shaq on him like that.
All right, DJ, appreciate that.
That's another good one.
Yeah, and that is a feud ongoing. That has been one to see for sure.
We got one call left if you guys want to try
Let's
to fit
do
it
it.
in. We got Murphy in the Borough. What's going on, Murphy?
Hey, fellas.
Hey, man.
Hey, my Friday Fires lasted the whole week, and I've been reliving some old baseball games on YouTube, which is fun to do. Sit down a little, maybe with a beverage or two. And Dave Parker was one of my, if you're of a certain age, was one of my heroes growing up. And, you know, he recently passed away. And so I've had a week-long fire watching Dave Parker with an absolute cannon for an arm from right field. It was, some of his video is incredible, guys. Have a good weekend.
All right, Murphy, thank you. Appreciate that. Great submissions by you guys. And Bert, I think one of our callers said it best. Kyle in Nashville, this dum-dum hung up on you by accident. Please call us back at 615-737-1045. Anybody that is declared cancer-free deserves a 4-pack of tickets to see the Nashville SC and to have a 4-pack of tickets to go to the Williamson County Fair. Don't you think, Bert?
Yeah, I agree. Kyle, if you'll give us a call back, I'd happily slide those tickets your way.
And my apologies for hanging up. I did not mean to do that. That is pilot error on my part. That is a demerit for me. Those are some good submissions, though, Bert.
Yep.
And Dice, good stuff.
Good stuff. The Shaq one, that was interesting to see that post. Yeah, I will see how RG3 responds. He responded to Clark.
Because basically Shaq said, if you post one more thing about Angel Reese, I'm coming for you.
I'm coming for you. And that's a 7-foot I don't want to see.
No way. No way. All right. Friday Fire. Good stuff right there. When we return, the third and final hour of the Buck Rising Show, fueled by Hattie B's, and we will discuss a little bit of our poll question, which is who emerges from the first week of Titans training camp. That's a story that is not quarterback Cam Ward, and we will continue to, in fact, we haven't even talked about this at length yet, but all these second-round draft picks this year that are now starting to agree to terms are getting a lot of guaranteed money, and some of it fully guaranteed. Kevin Dyson weighs in on that. Rhett Bryan and Kevin Dyson filling in for Buck and Lucas here on the Buck Rising Show on 104.5 The Zone.
What's going on? Just a hair before 12 o'clock. Good afternoon. Live from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Second round rookie contract logjam starting to clear up as the Seahawks have given in. They're giving number 35 overall pick safety Nick Emmanwori a fully guaranteed 4-year, $11.5 million rookie deal. This means that the first three picks of the second round have gotten fully guaranteed contracts for the first time in NFL history. Titans' second round pick Femi Oladejo still remains unsigned ahead of next week's training camp. Speaking of guys getting paid, the Steelers and star pass rusher TJ Watt have agreed to a historic 3-year, $123 million contract extension with $108 million guaranteed. Watt, who is making $41 million per year, is now the highest non-paid quarterback in the NFL. Steelers' busy offseason now includes two of the biggest contracts in franchise history based off total dollars on both sides of the ball, as DK Metcalf received a 4-year, $132 million deal. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour 3 of the Buck Rising Show, fueled by Hattie B's, is here on 104.5 The Zone on this fine Friday, the week before training camp. Brett Bryan and Dr. Kevin Dyson filling in for Buck Rising and Lucas Panzica. Robert Walsh, Bert, working the things behind the glass that make us sound good. And don't want to forget, because we'll be doing a poll update at the end of the hour, the third and final hour of the show. Two Rivers Ford poll: should the Titans re-sign Roger McCreary in 2026? Also, another one is, what is the most positive story you've seen in sports this week? And a final one, who emerges from the first week of Titans training camp that is a story that is not named Cameron Ward, the quarterback, number 1 overall pick of the Tennessee Titans. And that's what we're going to talk about right now, is who could be the other stories out of the first week of Titans training camp, not named Cam Ward, because there's so many storylines, Dice, in this roster. First of all, to kind of set the table, turnover's inevitable in this league. I mean, 28 to 31% is about the average, but it has been massive for the Titans for obvious reasons. So I think there are 41 guys that are on the 90-man right now that were here last year. That's it. And 44 of them are 25 years of age or younger. So, then you start taking away the Johnny Heckers, the veteran punter, and Kevin Zeitler, who's the right guard, who's 35. That average age goes down even further. All eyes are going to be on Cam Ward. There's no question. Of course. It's the obvious, they believe that is the future of the franchise, probably behind closed doors, and are trying to keep some of that off of him, but it's nearly impossible to do, being the face of a franchise in this, knowing you're the number 1 overall pick and the position in the National Football League, is because it's a quarterback league. But who are some of the other players that could be a story after that first week of camp? And it could be any number of guys. Do you have anyone in mind that might answer our poll question?
Oh, gosh. Well, we'll stick in the realm of quarterback receiver. I think the change of that receiver could be interesting. Lockett, of course, Ridley and his seemingly rapport with Cam Ward.
Yep.
What's the impact? What does that look like? What's funny is when Coach Mack talked about Pollard, he's almost been kind of a forgotten guy in this offseason. Like, we hadn't had a whole lot of conversation with him. He was a 1,000-yard rusher.
Nearly 1,100 yards.
Yeah, he was a staple of the team last year. He might be the MVP of the team last year. And we almost forgot about him going forward. I thought some of the veteran receivers, Jefferson and Lockett, would see what they have in the tank and what they add, the value they have to this team alongside Ridley. Of course, I'm showing my bias right now. Then going into it, offensive line. You know, and Sweat is another one too. But offensive line, what does that look like? Moving from left to right tackle and to solidify the inside part of that line. Like, what does that going into? Because that's important. And you said it, and just now, the most important position, quarterback,
that's it.
First round pick. What are those 5 guys? How are they gelling? Are they able to protect them? Able to move the piles, create lanes for Tajay and for Pollard? Like. So that's offensive football. Defense, I think Coach Mack, man, he was very poignant and very deliberate in his explanation of guys and the off-the-ball linebackers, the secondary, things of that nature. But offensively, obviously, the offensive line will start there. With Cam, we just talked about it, but the guys surrounding him, are they able to make plays, create a relationship with him as Ridley seemingly has?
Well, and the receivers, whether you're biased or not, because that was your position, it is one of the front of the line stories to watch because there's so much youth behind the aforementioned Tyler Lockett and Calvin Ridley. It's a youth after that.
Yeah.
And you're talking about, I think there's 13 guys in that room right now.
Yeah.
That, depending on how many they keep, you've got either probably 7 or 8 guys vying for 1 or 2 jobs.
Yeah. Jefferson is interesting. Not only to get a chance to watch him in high school, I know his dad and when he was coaching here, and knew his dad when he was playing with the Chargers and things of that nature. He's interesting to me because can he be that alongside guy, that vertical threat, the opposite guy, the one to stretch the defense, make plays? Can he be a T. Higgins type guy? He has that stature, that body, that build. Can he be that guy? Or is he more of the come in and spell you for a break guy? Alongside it, I think Lockett is going to be a guy that moves chains. That's been his MO through his career. I think he's going to be somebody that's a safety net. I think you don't want to necessarily work with it, but I think that guy that's able to complement Ridley on a regular basis, so he's not commanding double teams or shifts in the secondary to where he's at. That's going to be crucial.
What you say is so true because we've just been outlining how important the quarterback position is, and certainly in this team this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think the people that can make stories about themselves and emerge out of the first week of training camp going, that's an interesting development, are the ones that prove they can be helpful to the quarterback. You've mentioned the receiver, and Van Jefferson, I think, is a great example of that because he's a vet. Lord knows he knows how to catch a ball and run route tree because his father would kick his rear end if he didn't know how to do that. And
he'd been doing that for a minute.
Oh, my Lord. But Tony Pollard, that's such a good asset for Cam Ward, especially out of the backfield. He's a good receiver.
Yeah.
And then who else out of that? Like the young cats, like Xavier Restrepo, who played with him.
Yeah.
And then the 2 draft picks in Elikiah Manor, who, man, wait till you see him. Now, that's a smooth athlete right there.
You're talking about a red zone presence.
100%.
And we're not even talking about Chick. So, and again, that's another guy that can step up to another level because the way the game is kind of evolved, that inside vertical threat tight end has been crucial to the development of even people like Mahomes. You like having that guy that can put his hand down but also stretch your defense and run routes is crucial. So we hadn't even mentioned him, but we just mentioned the moves at receiver.
Right. And Chimere Dike is in that group and has possessed good speed at the combine and can be a returner there. But how about another rookie in Gunnar Helm, who's in that tight end room with Chigakonkwo, who has a massive catch radius, big dude, and I think they have plans for him in red zone packages because that's where he put on the shine at Texas.
And can he be effective with his hand down, blocking 7-9 techniques, or even get to a second level? How effective is he with that? I think you look at somebody like Shannon Sharp. He wasn't the most devastating of blockers as strong as he was, but he was effective blocker. He understood body angles and getting himself between himself and the ball carrier, things of that nature. Can a young guy like himself manage that with these Watt type defensive ends? You know, so we'll see. We'll see.
Make yourself more than serviceable.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not the best blocker, but you can handle the job.
Handle the job.
Right.
Yep.
Defensively, there are plenty of names you could mention in this. And maybe one, you talk about a guy that's just kind of quietly and like Chigaconquo is in a contract year is cornerback Roger McCrary on the other side of the ball.
Who has shown flashes over his career.
He has, and never really seemed like the moment was too big for him. And we talked to Coach Mack last hour about the importance of continuity and knowing that these guys that have been here, like Amani Hooker, like Tavondre Sweat, like Jeffrey Simmons, all the guys that were here last year, going into a second year, knowing what is expected of them from Denard Wilson and this defense. Well, Roger McCrary fits that bill as well because he's been there and done that. He's somebody that could certainly answer the poll question that we have there is who they are, who they could be story-wise that is not named Cam Ward. And you look at guys that are in the last year of their deal. Now, there's a lot of one-year deals in this thing, too, because there's going to be a bunch. I mean, you think turnover something now, wait till next year. Unless they extend some of these guys. I think they have 16 potential free agents, I think, next year, because there's a lot on one-year deals. So Amani Hooker's in the last year of his deal. Arden Key, Traylon Burks, Roger McCrary, Kevin Zeitler is a one-year deal. Draymond Jones is a one-year deal, and that's a guy who could also be a story after the first week of camp because he's a hired gun to come in and help in a pass rush situation that no longer has Harold Landry. He's in New England with Mike Vrabel, and there's a lot of youth there. I mean, Femi Oladejo, who we're going to talk about in the next segment, is a second-round pick who has recently moved to that position to chase the quarterback. But outside of Draymond Jones, who has put up numbers, and he was one of my favorite free agent gets they got because of his ability to do some things. He in a way, is kind of like he can play in and out and all. Like he has multiplicity in his game. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
But Arden Key is probably another one while we're talking about pass rush. He's one of the most loud, boisterous guys on the team. He is, I mean, he's out there. And he's made it clear he wants to be known more for being just a situational pass rusher, which is a lot of what he has done thus far in his career. And I think he knows that and is feeding off that. We'll see what happens after the first week. Because there are so many stories going into this that is beyond the number one overall pick.
And a lot of those veterans that you mentioned, it's going to be interesting as you move forward in the dynamics with the team being seemingly young, or not seemingly, they are a young team. And some of these veterans, like Traylon Burks kind of been, what do they do?
I don't know.
And he's in the final year of his contract. Do you try to, I don't know if you just
And again, there are 13 guys in that room right now.
And you drafted a guy, not necessarily the same body type, but a guy who can help you in the red zone, bigger body type guy that can help you in the red zone, that can extend drives, that can win jump balls. And with Traylon hasn't had the opportunity as much to do or hasn't done. So that's going to be interesting. But the guys you mentioned, like Arden Key, him, and some of these others, these veterans that have value, but is that value enough here where I can go get maybe a younger version of you and pay them a little less, or go get a veteran that's similar to them that is in that contract mode or the final year that can come add depth or be productive starters for the team for the next 2, 3, 4 years. Training camp's going to be huge for a lot of these guys because there's going to be a lot of movement, injuries, trade conversations. Do we have everybody in here that we feel like we're going to battle with week one? There's going to be some movement that's going to surprise some people. If I'm somebody like, I'd say Traylon, and if you don't have plans for me, let me go early so I can get somewhere else and get opportunity to learn that playbook and make that roster. But if you think I can make this team, let me battle it out.
And let me try to get some reps so I can prove to you that I
am the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head with something else that's going to be an evolving thing, not only through camp, but certainly at the end of camp and at the end of the preseason when cuts are made. Let's not forget they had the first pick in the draft. Well, another caveat that comes with that is the first claim in the waiver wire order.
Yeah.
You have that right now up until I think the Saturday before week 3, game 3 of the regular season. And I guarantee you
they got their
that
eyes
Mike
on
Borgonzi, Chad Brinker, Brian Callahan, all involved, because they've told me as much.
Mm-hmm.
We believe we have a chance to steal a draft pick or two, a former draft pick or two, because somebody's going to lose a camp battle, or there's just things happen.
Yeah.
It's a business.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that whatever that roster looks like at the end of cuts and what it looks like before week one are probably two different things.
Two different things. And we ain't even talked about the quarterbacks.
No.
I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. Nobody knows. We're making assumptions because nothing has been said.
Correct.
But we all know this is a business. There's always conversations.
Will Levis is there. He is still under contract, but they bring in veteran Brandon Allen, and they bring in Tim Boyle, who has had more than a cup of coffee in the league.
Yeah. So what do you do? So,
yeah, that's a huge story.
Yeah, we're not even talking about that conversation because they've been quiet. And
how about this for the sidebar, too? Where does it become apparent that Cam Ward is him? And I'm talking about the reps and the pivot. Like, I don't know if that's day 1, day 2, practice 6. I don't know.
What's the date for next Wednesday?
The 23rd.
The 23rd.
Okay. But, posturing that, and I mean really from a team and structure part of this, because there's going to be a moment where you go, there it is. There it is.
I feel like they had that moment already, even with the pads on.
And you just might be right.
I think so. I think Callahan and them are wise enough to see the dynamic that he has brought to the locker room, the energy, the rallying behind, seemingly. I'm on the outside looking in. They're seeing it on the daily. They're voicing this publicly. So it's not like I'm just making this up, that he has gained the trust of that locker room.
No, there's evidence there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they're like, let's do everything we can to get him prepared to be day one starter. So, yes, camp starts Wednesday. Report Tuesday. Start Wednesday, right? Let's go. the interest is going to be the 2 and potential 3 is going to be the conversation. Who is his backup? Because to me, that's important. Not that Will Levis can't be a starter in the National Football League, or maybe he is in the conversation. This is just my opinion. But if he's not, who do you want to be that guy behind Cam, to be that voice when he comes to the sideline?
It's important.
That's important. And is Will Levis that guy if he's not in that conversation to be a starter, which I don't think he is. That's just my opinion, because I think Cam is, you don't draft the guy number 1 to sit him down and watch anymore. That's just not the nature of the game. So that number 2 guy being that voice is crucial. So is Will Levis that guy? Is he willing to be that guy?
That's one of the many things on a long list somewhere at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park that is in consideration to help your guy that you took number 1 overall be the best guy he can be and set him up for success.
Yep, because he's a rookie. Regardless of how fast the game is in college and him moving around, and you're playing at a high level in Miami, you're playing top-tier teams, it's still college football.
It's different.
It's different. Now you're taking all those guys that you're good on that roster, the best of those, and putting them into one melting pot or chili pot, and all those guys, so they're all fast, they're all good. Even the backups, even the free agents are all fast, are all good because they were some of the best players on their teams.
You're not the big fish in the little pond anymore.
You're not.
Yep.
And so he's going to have some values. And like Coach Mack said, you hope those values are not deep and they're not often. You want to see a steady climb throughout the season. You want him to progressively getting better and learning from his mistakes. And if you're seeing that, I think you have your guy. And what he's surrounded with, besides the coaches, talking about the players, leadership on both sides of it. Like if he has a down moment, I need to see Big Jeff and some of these other guys, Snead, and guys coming over there, Hooker, and saying, hey, we got you. Don't worry about it. We'll get you the ball back. Do your thing. Don't worry about that. Move on.
I get it.
I get it.
Just don't do it again.
And that's
We're
what
good.
you want to see.
Yeah.
Because he is a rookie. He's gonna have a game. Well, you saw Will Levis' first game. Everybody was like, we got the guy of the future. balled out in the old Oilers blue. And then we saw some of the peaks and valleys. Yep. Sometimes the valleys were a lot deeper than the peaks. And so that's the inconsistency has led them to draft Cam Ward number 1 overall. So that being said, surrounding him with not just the coaches, not just the defense players, the offensive line around him, who's in that meeting room with him, he has a confidant, somebody they get it. Because quarterback is different.
It
different in any other
absolutely
position in sports.
And you know what else is different? Kevin Dyson, that is second-round draft picks. We live in a world where they're getting guaranteed money. That is our next topic as you listen to the Buck Rising Show presented and fueled by Hattie B's. Rhett Bryan and Kevin Dyson in for Buck and Lucas here on 104.5 The Zone.
I mentioned that Lucas is going on vacation to Brazil. If you have a summer vacation coming up, you've probably been planning it for a number of months. You want to make sure you're putting as much time into your retirement planning as you would making sure that you ensure your retirement is the ultimate summer vacation. That's what Trajan Wealth is here to help you with. Especially when it comes to making sure that you have that financial independence, because we all know how important that is, especially if you haven't experienced it or if you've been through a period of life where you don't feel very financially independent. That can be suffocating at times. Occurrences like inflation, changing economic policies, new laws, and interest rates can affect the financial markets. Those are short-term things, though. It doesn't make sense to keep changing the way that you invest in response to the daily news cycle. So Trajan Wealth is there to help you review your strategy and make sure that it's right for your goals, your level of risk tolerance, and your time horizon. Trajan Wealth is literally going to hold your hand through that process because that's just what you need sometimes. Call them today at 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000. Visit them online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement.
Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking. I lost 70 pounds and my friend lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months.
Wow, what are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed for only $49.99.
hour 3 of Buck Rising, the Buck Rising Show, fueled by Hattie B's on 104.5 The Zone. I'm Rhett Bryan with Dr. Kevin Dyson, filling in for Buck and Lucas. Robert Walsh behind the glass, helping us get through. And hope you're doing great on this Friday and getting through and heading to the weekend. Because here we are, a week away from training camp. And the Titans report next Tuesday, first practice next Wednesday morning. With anticipation, we all wait for that. Speaking of Titans, been a lot of Titans-centric topics on the NFL Network recently. In fact, today, analyst Manti Te'o, former linebacker, Notre Dame, was talking about the Titans. He has quarterback Cam Ward as his pick for a very high rookie honor in 2025.
Okay, Boost is buying that he's going to win Rookie Offensive Player of the Year. I think it's going to come down to two people, him and Ashton Gente. Why is it going to come down to those two people, in my opinion? Number one, scheme, and number two, usage. They're going to be used a lot with their respective teams. But I really think that Cam Ward going into this year, you need to have guys that you're going to throw the ball to. He has really good guys that are underappreciated, in my opinion, with Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, Treylon Burks, Chiga Okonkwo. These are guys that can produce for you. Now, when you have a head coach like Brian Callahan, if you don't know Brian Callahan's history, let me take you on a Brian Callahan history tour. Okay. In 2016 to 2017, he was in Detroit, where he coached Matt Stafford. And both of those years, Matt Stafford threw for over 4,000 yards. We hear a lot about Ben Johnson and what he's been doing, what he was able to do in Detroit. Not a lot is spoken about Brian Callahan, but he was able to help Matt Stafford that way. He then went to Oakland. When he went to Oakland, he ran into Derek Carr. Derek Carr threw for, at that time, a career high in passing yards. Then he went to Cincinnati, and we saw what he was able to do at Cincinnati and Joe Burrow, where they had one of the best offensive schemes for the Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow behind center. So when you have a coach like Brian Callahan and what he can do for the quarterback position, not only as a coordinator, a head coach, but also as a quarterback coach, usually good things happen for you as a quarterback with him right by your side. So I really expect, and I'm buying the fact, Chase, that Cam Ward, after 2025, will be the Offensive Rookie Player of the Year.
That's pretty high praise for a guy that has not done anything yet, but I think he sees what a lot of people see and want to believe in. But if he's the Offensive Rookie of the Year, the Titans have had a much better year than 3-14.
Who was your leader in the clubhouse going into the 24-25 season last year for Rookie of the Year? Would you have said it was Caleb, or would you have said Jaden Daniels?
I think a lot of people would have been leaning on Caleb Williams.
I think so.
Because of the difference in market. And I don't think I said who was going to be Rookie of the Year, but I was high and bullish on Jaden Daniels coming out of LSU because he's I had him, and I don't. Mac hates it when we do comps. He doesn't do comps. It's not fair to the player, and it's right. But there's some Lamar Jackson element to his style of play. But Cam Ward, if he's Offensive Rookie of the Year,
he had a pretty good year. We've seen
he had a pretty good year, and the Titans had a better year.
Stroud, Daniels, Caleb Williams had a good year. I think it was overshadowed a little bit from Jaden Daniels and they not winning games, but he actually had a pretty decent rookie year.
He did.
So if he mimics any of those three over the past two seasons, I think he definitely going to be in a conversation for Rookie of the Year. If not winning it, I think I think as a Titans fan, you are more optimistic about the future, let alone what happens this year. I mean, I think if he's having a kind of year, both of those, the last two rookies of the year made strides, whether they went to the playoffs or not.
That would be wild, though. Yeah. If it's a Jaden Daniels type, that'd be bananas, because I'm not so sure that happens because Washington had been building and had a better base of things around him for in all three phases.
Yeah.
Other information as received on the NFL Network, Titans cornerback Roger McCreary appeared yesterday on NFL Network's The Insider Show with Mike Garafolo and Cameron Wolfe. And Roger McCrary says he wants to be, for lack of a better term, more of a dog in his contract year.
You talk about Cam Ward. What did you see from him in the spring? Because you guys on that side of the ball may have as good a view of what's happening as anybody because you're the ones trying to stop him. I know it's not full go, but what did he do to impress you in the spring to make you say what you just said about him bringing excitement?
Yeah, I've seen him play a little bit in Miami a little bit. I didn't know his game, but finally when I seen him in person at practice, you just tell that the person you see on TV, that's exactly how he was in person, you know. When I first got out there, I'm like, let's see what Cam Ward is about, and it's exactly what he truly is, exactly what he did in Miami, just the type of person he is, you know, trash talking, the person that true to himself, I would say. He don't want to be like nobody else. It's just true to him, man. I'll say one thing that stick out was the time when he was talking smack to Jeffrey. That was one thing that stood out because usually the quarterback who talk trash, Jeff always get to their head, but him, it didn't intimidate him at all. Next play, he did an amazing play, so I feel like a guy like that, I'm excited to play with for sure, and I definitely want to see more come in this camp.
I love what you said about the trash talk with your quarterback, Jeffrey Simmons and Cam Ward. We don't have cameras on the practice field. Can you give us a glimpse, even through that trash talk moment, of what his personality was? Did you see a different side of him?
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's not like he just flipped the switch. It's like that every day. It's like that's just him. I can tell. Like in the locker room, he talking about who trying to get whooping ping pong. I'm like, this dude talking smash off the field too. Even when we get on the field. Even if, like, say if he make a mistake, he's still going to talk trash, but I got you. I'm going to come with another one, come right with another one, throw one. So that just shows the confident type person he is, that he don't care about the mistakes he made. He just know he going to come at you no matter what. And that's one thing I like, because that confidence through the roof, and that's what type of person we need.
Yeah. You got a little something for him if you pick him off in training camp? Talk?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get him on. He haven't seen much of me in the camp because the young guys out there and stuff. But yeah, most definitely, I'm gonna be out there trying to talk trash to him. Cause that's one thing I would really want to do is talk more trash, get in people's head. And I feel like he's the perfect guy to help me get at that more, I would say.
So more vocal, more dog, more, and of course the impressions of Cameron Ward, like everybody else. It's like, oh, okay. I get it. Yeah. I see. Titans edge rusher and rookie Femi Oladejo appeared on the NFL Network's Good Morning Football to discuss Cam Ward and his leadership.
Yeah, so a funny story. Cam was actually my roommate for minicamp and just the OTAs because, you know, the rookies are in the hotel and have a roommate. So just seeing Cam being consistent, waking up at 5 o'clock every day, and going straight to the facility and doing that on a consistent basis. And then just being someone who doesn't have a big ego. You would think someone that's the first overall pick is kind of like big-headed and prideful, but he's very humble, grounded, and he loves ball. So I'm very excited to see how he leads us, and I'm ready to be right behind him.
That is linebacker Femi Oladejo, the 52nd overall pick in round 2 from UCLA. And the reason we played him last is because the craziness, Kevin Dyson, of second-round draft picks getting guaranteed money.
Guaranteed cheese.
Now, there's a couple players you can point to where this started, and it isn't just this year to kind of set the table. Will Levis got quite a bit more guaranteed money when they traded up for him a couple of years ago. He didn't get fully guaranteed, but that's kind of started the train. But last year is where it really picked up steam with Ladd McConkey, 34th overall pick and receiver from Georgia that the Chargers took. He was awarded a 4-year deal worth $9.95 million. 9.1 of it was guaranteed. So, you know, in the 90th percentile of that, or plus 90. So, and then you flash forward to this year, and the second round started with the Cleveland Browns taking linebacker Carson Schlesinger from UCLA. Gave him a fully guaranteed contract, all of it, 33rd overall pick. And then what did the Houston Texans do? They did with their 34th overall pick, Jaden Higgins, wide receiver, Iowa State, fully guaranteed. Well, then that was weeks ago. So now here we are sitting with this log jam of talent going, okay, where's mine? And then that log jam broke loose a little bit Wednesday night when Alfred Collins, the defensive tackle that the 49ers took, I think, 43rd overall, agreed to terms, and his wasn't fully guaranteed, but he did get 88% guaranteed money out of his 4-year deal. Once that happened, it was a flurry of activity, Dice. So since then, Nick Ammonwari, pick 35, the big long safety the Seahawks took, he agreed to terms. Trey Harris, the receiver who had actually been holding out of camp for the Chargers, he agreed to terms. Tackle Ozzie Trapillo from Boston College with the Bears. Pass rusher Mike Green with the Ravens. R.J. Harvey, running back for the Broncos. Shamar Turner for the Bears. And then, since we have been on the air, tight end from LSU, Mason Taylor, son of Jason Taylor, New York Jets. 4 years, $10.46 million, 9.13 guaranteed. Or actually 91.3% guaranteed of that 10.46. Man, your teammate Samari Rolls going, where in the world have we come from? One of the best second-round picks in the history of the franchise.
Oh, man.
It's wild to think where this is.
And I don't, again, we don't know the nature of the business, what started all the team saying we're going to headlock this guy in. They must have had him rated pretty high to sit there and say we can go ahead and guarantee the second-round pick. But that just opened up the floodgates for a lot of guys that preceded that like, hey, where's my money at? I want to make sure. I want to be locked in, and I'm happy for it. Any chance you can get your bag, man, get it. But I want to see where this goes, because now it's going to trickle down to pick 50-something, 60-something, 70-something. Now they're going to start looking to get their bags and making sure it's getting a lot of it guaranteed, whether it be 91% or the whole thing.
Well, the reason we bring this up, because I wanted your perspective, and because it's just wild to think that this is the way this is going. But the aforementioned Oluwafemi Oladejo, the 52nd overall pick of the Titans, has not signed or agreed yet. But just 36 to 40 hours ago, before Alfred Collins, the D tackle with the 49ers, agreed, there was only 2 of the 32 in that whole round had agreed to terms. So there's been a handful since then, but with this going in slots above and past where Femi was taken, I don't really feel like there's going to be a place where he doesn't report and ended into camp the first day, because it could happen this afternoon, it could happen this weekend, could be first part of the week, could be the day he reports, could be any of those things. And really, the one guy in the round who probably had the best argument for I need guaranteed money is the Louisville quarterback Tyler Shuck, who is probably the day one starter in a beginning of a massive rebuild in New Orleans with the Saints.
Which is crazy. They just drafted a guy the year before, didn't they?
But here's the thing. They've kicked the can down the road for several years since Drew Brees' retirement. Like, they are overdue for hitting TNT box and blowing that thing up and starting over. Yeah. And so here's Tyler Shuck. Because you got to remember, like, Derek Carr just up and retired.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was way into free agency.
Yeah.
And so here's Tyler Shuck going, I'm probably going to be the guy. Because he's a smart dude. And he's one of those that's 26-year-old rookie and bounced around a couple places, but smart football guy.
Yeah.
And he's got the best argument of any of them.
I was going to say, quarterbacks usually have the best argument because regardless.
But in this scenario, for sure.
For sure.
But just to think that, now the only real difference with what's evolving right now is that there's no fifth-year option for the team to pick up, because that's for first-rounders.
Yeah.
But you're getting the money.
Yeah.
I mean, you said it earlier when we started the show. You can have a 4-year deal worth reported whatever. It's how much is that guaranteed? Because that's what's coming to your mailbox.
That's it. And days of old, you were trying to get as much of that. Get your sign-up bonus. I'll play for league minimum, but give me more on the sign-up bonus side of things.
That's why it's so important that guys that are fortunate enough and have worked their rear ends off to get that valuable second contract.
Yes.
And then if you play really well, a la recent history, Jarrell Casey with the Titans, they tore up his rookie deal, did that, and then he played so well, they tore that one up and gave him,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, get the bag.
Get the bag.
While you can get the bag.
Yep. Short time, short window of opportunity.
But, man, guaranteed money for second-round picks. And you're right, it doesn't stop here.
Yeah, it doesn't stop here. How far down in the picks have we gone now that got guaranteed? We're in the 50s?
Actually in the 60s, Shamar
60?
Turner,
60.
the D lineman from A&M that was drafted by the Bears at 62 is one that has agreed since all this kind of busted loose in the last 36 hours.
That's impressive.
R.J. Harvey, the running back from UCF, the 60th overall pick with the Broncos, he has agreed to terms. So again, and that's why I knew when the Alfred Collins things happened, because he was pick 43, I was like, okay, we wouldn't be talking about this if it was Nick Ammanwari was still there, or let's say the dam busted and Nick Ammanwari is the only one that had, because he was pick 35, which was the Titans' original pick before they traded that to Seattle, but that's too far away from 52 where Femi Oladejo is.
Right.
So the fact that I'm like 43, okay, that is a significant
that's
move.
making a move. Yep.
And then we started seeing movement after he selected. I'm like, okay, because slotted salaries, here we are.
Yep.
So it'll get done now.
You may know better than I do. How many of these guys, for instance, he's slotted right between, say, 35 and 62.
Mm-hmm.
He's right in the middle of that. Does he have any overlap as far as agent? Or do they have same agent? It's like, hold on, let me get this deal worked out.
Oh, you know that happens. You know it does.
All the time.
Absolutely it does.
And so he's sitting there waiting to see what happens to be after him and right before him.
And could be same agents that did the Will Levis deal, that did the Lad McConkey deal last year, where he had 90-something% of it guaranteed.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I'm close. I'm knocked the door in. Let me see if I can bust it off the hinges here.
Man.
I did this for Lad last year. I got you.
Yep. And exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Just waiting. So time's of the essence. I'm sure it'll be done here the next day or two.
And like I said, it could be this afternoon. It could be this weekend. It could be the day he reports Tuesday. Could be any of that. But I have less doubt that it won't get done now. And it was going to get done, but because it's so important for Femi in a place we outlined that the edge pass rusher stuff is a place where they probably still have a need, and he does not need to miss a single rep if he can help it.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. Golly,
and he's an interesting cat.
Yeah,
we met him at that rookie symposium thing. He's an interesting dude. I like him. He just brings energy.
Yeah. And I think that's what you say about the first two picks, if nothing else, is they've brought a different energy to that locker room.
And they go what their definition of what is a Titan. Mm-hmm. I think they so far emulate all of that. And their whole mantra has been draft and develop. So the drafted parts happen. The development is in process.
It's in process, and we'll see. And like Max said, and I appreciate him giving that perspective from a coach, is they don't like the administrative side of things. They just want to be out there on the field. They want to coach guys up, get better, and then put it to fruition. Like that's what they want to do.
They're just teachers until they get out there, and then they're coaches.
Yep.
I've heard coaches say that for years.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we will come back. We will wrap up the Buck Rising program with the poll update presented by Two Rivers Ford. But the Buck Rising show is fueled by Hattie B's, Rhett Bryan, Dr. Kevin Dyson filling in for Lucas and for Buck. And we'll wrap up the show when we come back on 104.5 The Zone. Wrapping up the Buck Rising Show, fueled by Hattie B's on 104.5 The Zone. Buck out today, Lucas out today, Rhett Bryan in, and I've been glad to do this show with Dr. Kevin Dyson, the one and only Miracle Man, who has done so much more than being remembered for the Music City Miracle. He will always be known for that, but the stuff you've done post-career is amazing. Master's degrees, doctorates, principals of high schools, all of those things to enrich the young folks into the right path of their futures. It is to be commended. It's been a good show, man. I appreciate you doing this with me. This was fun today.
Man, I always have fun being on radio. It's fun talking sports, man. Talking football.
It's very rarely seems like work, does it?
Yeah, I really don't, man.
It is just, it's rare. So Robert Walsh has been helping us behind the glass, as he normally does for the Buck Rising program. Bert, is it time to do the polls now, or is that too early?
Maybe a hair too early, but if you guys wanted to pick back and forth at each other, if you had a Friday Fires submission now from the good doctor, you could slide that in there too.
Did you think of a Friday Fire of the best thing that happened in sports this week?
And it doesn't necessarily have to be sports. It could be something in your life, you know. Maybe you got your basement refinished. Maybe you didn't forget to take the trash out this week. It's just whatever's going on good for you. You know what I mean?
I'm here doing radio.
That was my Friday Fire that you were here. You can't steal my Friday Fire now.
Oh, man. Let's outline what the poll questions were, because I'm sure we've had some submissions, right?
Yeah. We can throw it to it. Here we go. I'll give you a good Friday special.
Go.
Okay.
The polls brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, the most trusted Ford dealership in all of the South. Who is Cam Ward's biggest competition for Rookie of the Year? Ashton Jeanty, Travis Hunter, or other? Ashton Jeanty running away with the poll results after 3 hours with 58% saying that he is Cam Ward's biggest competition. Travis Hunter with 33%, other with only 7%. How do you guys feel about it?
I don't know that I agree with that one.
Yeah. No.
I mean, it remains to be seen, but I don't know that I agree with that one.
Yeah. We'll see, but I agree with you. I'm not fond of that one.
Yeah, it would be tough, especially for, in my opinion, I think Travis is probably his biggest competition, only because of him being on a team that's positioned to have a amount of success. Generally, these guys that win these awards don't come out and aren't on a ton of bad teams, but also the polarizing aspect of him playing both sides of the ball.
And the other part, too, is the word out of Jacksonville is that he will be working more days in practice on offense than defense. They will have packages for him, but he'll be offense. So you're right on the offensive Rookie of the Year part.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that from just watching him and his skill set. I thought he was more naturally a corner, but he's a phenomenal athlete. He figured it out.
Yes, he will.
I've said that. I think people thought I was hating on him. I wasn't hating on him. I just thought he was more naturally gifted at corner, but a talented wide receiver. But now he's investing that time in wide receiver, and with his skill set and his talent, I think he's a 1,000-yard receiver.
He could very well be.
I've always said that. I just think he's more natural at the corner position. But, man, he's going to be a phenomenal athlete.
Should the Titans re-sign Roger McCreary in 2026? The audience overwhelmingly says yes, they should, with 84% of the poll saying yes, only 15% saying they shouldn't. How do you guys feel?
I concur. He is needed in this secondary, especially not knowing where the health is with L'Jarius Sneed, just to start out with. But Roger knows the system, and he's played well for the Titans.
And I think of levels of inconsistency that we saw from secondary play last year, he was the most consistent. He was out there. I thought he did some things last year, and he's becoming a leader in the clubhouse. I think you kind of reward a guy like that. And again, we talk about experience and guys like that. Now, what does that look like? Is he getting top tier money as a corner? I don't think that, but I think he's definitely worth having a conversation to bring him back.
And they've got the money to do it.
Yeah.
Who emerges from the first week of Titans training camp that is not Cam Ward? We got a ton of submissions here, and you guys will notice there is a rookie tint to these, as Xavier Restrepo is mentioned, Gunnar Helm is mentioned twice, and another 3 more mentions for Restrepo. So high hopes for the UDFA receiver and high hopes for the 4th-round tight end.
And, those are good submissions. And we outlined some earlier in the show. There's a number of people you could point to that could be the story out of camp after the first week that is not Cam Ward. It could be one of those rookies. It could be Chikakonkwo. It could be it could be Dan Moore, the left tackle. I don't know. It could be any kind. It could be J.C. Latham at right tackle, his natural position.
What that tells me is people are high on optimism right now for the year.
And that's where it is in all 32 cities right now.
Sure enough.
Hope springs eternal, as they say, right?
What's the most positive story you've heard this week in sports? Justin Hawkins, the morning show producer, chiming in with TJ Watt getting paid. And then 2 submissions for, I didn't get to watch this actively, but I did check it out on social media as it was happening. Shane Gillis's performance at the ESPYs, getting rave reviews. Did you guys get to check that out?
I've seen cuts and outtakes of it, and it was very Norm Macdonald-esque from SNL.
I didn't check it out.
He has some jokes now, and some of them cut. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to go pick that up.
I might go check it out.
There's some stuff in there.
My favorite that he did, he was like, everyone wanted to get everyone's attention to, he said a woman's name. He was like, WNBA All-Star Hall of Famer. Everybody get off your feet for her. And they started clapping. He was like, I'm just kidding. That's my buddy's wife. I knew none of you would know a WNBA player. So he just dunked on the crowd all night long.
Oh, wow.
But those are your polls.
Well, all righty then. Let's just say this. We are ready to take this thing into the weekend. And I want to thank you, Robert Walsh, for making it all happen behind the glass. And for the good Dr. Kevin Dyson for helping me get you through the 3 hours before we turn it over to our next program. But hey, thanks, Katie. I appreciate your help, man.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the invite. Thank you, Paul.
All right. On the way, it's Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach. And it is kind of an F-ball, football and other F words podcast takeover, as it is Zach Lyons joined by his podcast mate, Stoney Keeley. That show is next here on your home for the Titans and the Vols, 104.5 The Zone. Happy Friday.